Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Weeb Seen It Podcast, episode number 18. My name's Cam.
And I'm Jimmy.
And in case you're new here, because we have gotten a lot of new subscribers recently.
Yeah, it's been crazy how many people we actually got just from the last video.
Yeah, so we are a anime-focused podcast. Obviously, we discuss ongoing weekly serialized anime. So discuss, review a little bit. You know, we don't deep dive into them.
Yeah, we also don't touch base on everything that goes on every week. We've got a selected list and a couple that kind of filter in and out. So.
Yeah, and sometimes we might edit the list, change it as the series goes on. You know, some shows get better, some shows get worse. It's inevitable.
Oh, yeah.
So our list will keep updating. But yeah, we had a lot of people coming last week, especially from a lot of the new winter anime.
Yeah, I think the star of the show has definitely been Kumodesu.
Yeah, for sure. I normally spend every single week after this episode goes up, I go on all the different subreddits. And I was actually like blown away by that subreddit. I posted it, had like 60 upvotes, which isn't tons, but it's more than I've gotten on the, forums like Attack on Titan subreddit, which has hundreds of thousands of people. In comparison, though, I get 5, 10 upvotes, maybe 1 or 2 people comments.
Yeah.
This one had like 20 to 30 comments, upvotes, like crazy. It seems to be a lot of people that are really big fans of the light novel. And from what I've seen, it's just everybody is like, hey, I'm here because I want to see what people who have no idea what this is about, like I want to see them react. These are all light novel fans. Like, I just want to see people who are so dumb go into this. I'm like, you found the right place. That's us.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys are just finding us for the first time, obviously like, subscribe, comment, all that kind of stuff. Stick around, even if you only come in here weekly to watch one section. If you're only following one anime a week, that's perfectly fine. I think before anything else, we're just going to get into it, yeah? Hey guys, before we get into the episode, we did have a couple technical difficulties just with the camera dying on us a few times.
Yeah, you might notice a few cuts, a few movements, a few things changing position. So,
so
we hope it doesn't bother you too much.
Yeah, if there's a couple times where we're talking about one thing and it quickly changes to something else, it's just because while we were waiting for the camera to charge, we forgot what we were talking about.
Yeah, that's one of the issues. We don't really have a playback, do we?
Yeah, no. In future episodes, we'll make sure we fix it, guys. So thanks for watching, and then we'll get back to the episode. And welcome back. So before we get into this week's weekly episodes, we're going to have a little bit to discuss first. Obviously, as I said, thanks to everybody who came into the last episode. It was definitely our biggest upsurge of views, subscribers, all that kind of stuff, which is fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's crazy seeing this amount of just growth in one shot. So
yeah, even like the comment section, which is the main thing we always wanted to. Obviously, we've had a couple people who have been here early on. I don't even remember how they discovered it at this point. It was probably one of the Reddits.
Yeah, probably the Reds, or maybe just one fluke of the algorithm.
Yeah, but some of the same 5 people go to every video they comment. Sometimes they do multiple comments about each different show, which is really helpful. Just more comments, more interaction, that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, in the last couple, we've gotten so many more. It's just been crazy, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we appreciate everything, and this is just absolutely blown us away. So.
Yeah, it's been fantastic. Now, I know we really wanted to do something for when we get 100 subs, because it's going to be pretty soon. Obviously, 100 subs isn't tons, but it still just feels like eventually, if we do manage to get more, it'll be something fun to look back on. There were discussions of what we do, something small that wouldn't take a lot of effort, or like it wouldn't take a lot of time on your guys' hands to watch it, because obviously you're already watching tons of anime each week, and B, you're taking time to watch this. So I think what we decided we're going to do is we're going to do some sort of Q&A just for all these new people if they want to know anything about us. Yeah. So it can be personal questions, it could be anime related questions. Obviously, I imagine someone out there's going to ask, "What's your favorite anime?" to both of us. It can be anything. It could be fucking hentai questions for all I care.
Yeah, just give us your best shot. Ask whatever you want. We'll
it can be anything at all. It'll probably just be a short little 20, 30-minute video. It will be separate from the actual We've Seen It episode, so you don't have to worry about it taking up too much time. It's just going to be a separate video that goes out on the channel. And I think that's just fun. It's just nice to track the the place where we're at currently. I had a lot of really nice people on either the subreddit or the comments say that like they can't believe how high the quality of the podcast is for only, I think, like 80. Well, I mean, before this video, only like 50 subs.
Yeah.
So that's always really nice to hear. Obviously, we've recently upgraded the quality, especially for the video. But we're still trying to improve every single week. So, if sometimes the editing looks a little off, it's just because we're still learning. And, we're never just going to go in perfection with
there's always a process.
Yeah. But as I said, any comments too, if you guys have any suggestions, anything like that, always leave them down below. Anything you like, anything you don't like, that shit's just really important because it helps us grow. But yeah, hopefully look forward to that. I'm going to leave a pinned comment down below just with the area where you can leave your questions, or if you want, you can personal message if that's still a thing on YouTube, or you can send it through Instagram.
I'm pretty sure it is, yeah. But
yeah, if for some reason it's a question you want other people seeing, that's fine. I don't think we're going to read out names for the questions. But yeah, I think that'll just be fun to do. I think other than that, this week, obviously, we had a more refined list.
Oh yeah, we definitely trimmed it down a little bit, and For anyone wondering who won the poll last week, I don't even think we have an answer.
I don't think anyone is still wondering that. Now, I'm not gonna lie, we actually did twist it a little bit from what we saw. The question was obviously one anime that you wanted to vote in, and then we had this bonus slot each week. We kind of seemed like more like we took away the bonus slot, but instead we're doing some rotational spots just in the weekly list, which a lot of people even suggested.
Yeah.
We got a lot of people obviously voting for So I'm a Spider, So What?
Yeah.
That was the big one,
yeah,
obviously.
there was not even a question. It was an absolute landslide.
Yeah,
so.
we did get a couple like Horimiyas, there were a couple Mushoku Tensei, stuff like that. Like some of these cool ones, like anime that we did talk about last week. So what we decided to do is, since there's so many isekai series especially, we decided that we're going to have either a slight rotational spot or sometimes fit in both when it's appropriate for both Kumodesu and Mushoku Tensei.
Yep.
So I think this week, for instance, we're talking about both because we like both the second episodes.
On the other side of the coin for Slice of Life, we're alternating Horimiya and Quintessential Quintuplets.
Yeah, because they're both shows that we really enjoy watching. But we'd be worried that, you know, if there's a week, for instance, where neither of them have that crazy of an episode, nothing much to cover, it's fine. We might not even need to talk about them. That just leaves us the space to talk about both Mushoku and Kumodesu.
Yeah.
But if for some reason, you know, one of them just has a fantastic episode, which I mean, it's definitely possible. Watching both this week, they're both really entertaining episodes. And then maybe we'll have to talk about them both, or we'll just pick, and that way there's never really a dull moment. I think this week we're going to be talking about Horimiya episode 2. It just had so much in the one episode. It was like watching another whole, you know, arc in a regular slice of life anime in a single episode.
They do not mess around with their arcs. Everything is very concise and contained. So
yeah, I was watching with my wife because I tried to get her to watch like one series of anime every single year, and this was, or like every season, and this was like the only chance I had, I think.
Yeah.
So she's been enjoying it. But yeah, she was just like, even as soon as the episode finished, we're like, how the hell can you fit like this much into one episode? This would be a whole arc. I went through like every other show I've seen and like an arc that they had in that slice of life, and I'm like, this would be a whole arc.
Yeah.
We'll
get into it later, but
yeah, we'll get into it when we talk about Horimiya. But yeah, the finished list I have right over here on my blackboard is we're going to be talking about ReZero, Promise Neverland, Kumodesu, Jujutsu Kaisen, because that's back, which is fantastic. Horimiya, Mushoku Tensei, and Attack on Titan, of course. Today being Sunday, we just had Attack on Titan, huge episodes. That's going to be the last thing we talk about today. I'm assuming, like always, there's going to be a lot of people wanting to go to it. And as always, all the timestamps are going to be down below in the description. Or, of course, if you just hover over the buffer bar, they're all going to be there for you, too, if you just want to skip right to the one thing you care about. I think without further ado, though, we're going to get into the actual episode and start talking about the first anime.
Sounds good.
Okay, so obviously first up on the list would be Wednesday's anime, which was ReZero, episode number 40.
This one is called Auto Suin and A Reason to Believe.
Okay, this is probably what I don't know. It's such a good anime season, it's hard to say, but emotional wise, like this was one of the more emotional episodes we've even seen from season 2.
I mean, yeah, most of the episode was dedicated to Otto's backstory, which I was not expecting.
Yeah, I don't think anyone was expecting that. I didn't think they were going to give him a backstory because I'm like, oh no, he's a guy who drives a cart. We saw him in season 1. He was just happened to be there in like a merchant area. No big deal.
Yeah, he's buddy with Subaru, but like, so what? Everyone is.
Yeah, no big deal, right? We've seen all these characters. But like, if you actually think about the amount of characters who have met Subaru now, and actually how many of them didn't get a backstory? The only one I can really think about was the sword guy, the old man. I can't remember his name now. It's been long since we've seen him.
The old guy.
Yeah, the one who actually ended up fighting the white whale with the sword. He had like his wife who was the sword master.
But no, even he got a backstory.
But I'm saying like he's the only one I can really think about that also got a backstory. You've met people like all those mercenary people like the wolf guy and the 2 kids. Like they've introduced a lot of sub characters. And it's just been okay to not give us their backstory. Maybe at some point they will. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
for some like Otto to be like, hey, you guys need an Otto backstory right now.
I mean, they kind of needed to explain what the hell was going on in this episode.
Oh, 100%. If you just didn't show that, and then all of a sudden Otto's like controlling bugs and shit, you'd be like, what the fuck? What did I miss?
My assumption would be like, oh shit, he's evil. He's working with the Beastmaster chick or something like that. So
yeah,
the backstory did do its job. It gave us the information we needed.
And I'm sure some people out there think Otto's best boy, so this would just help out those people.
I mean, I'm sure, yeah.
Or I mean, if they didn't, they probably will since the since ReZero started back up with this season 2 part 2.
Yeah, he's definitely taken a step forward because he was basically non-existent before this. So.
But even if you you go into this episode, you're like, okay, no big deal. This is an Otto backstory episode. And then like halfway through, all of a sudden you're like, okay, yeah, Otto, he's really dope, and you saw his backstory. But how much emotional shit do you want with Amelia though? Because let's just give you all of that too. We get this like huge conversation. Like if you think about what actually happened in this episode, once again, it's so little, But what ReZero does, which I don't know if we've actually talked about this on the podcast before, but for Japanese television in general is insane. The amount of times they've done no openings, no endings.
Yeah.
They've sometimes even extended longer than they're supposed to for episodes, which in a place like Japan where it's like such a strict schedule is just insane. And that just shows like how much these creators actually want to get this out. They're like, no, we have to tell this exact story.
Yeah.
We're not compromising at all. Like this was another episode with no intro, no ending. They just rolled some credits over the dialogue in the end.
Yeah.
Which is they've done this so many times for ReZero, and it's just because they want us to get more. I was like,
yeah, they don't have the time frame they need, so they're gonna make it work.
yeah, a different anime could have 1 or 2 episodes just on Otto's backstory. But to get Otto's whole backstory, I feel like I know that character now and that he's grown already. And then to also get so much shit with Amelia and Subaru, like it's just insane.
Yeah, because I mean, the thing with Otto, it didn't feel rushed. It didn't feel forced. It was just like, yeah, here's his backstory, and now we continue the episode.
Yeah, you saw the important parts. You saw the pieces that made him who he is. Obviously, they need to establish his power. What they call it, divine
blessing.
Okay, yeah. So they had to establish that, and they did a perfect job of just, they leap forward a couple different times in his life just to show the important parts. And then obviously, they had his interaction with Garfield. Once again, getting Big Garfield out again.
Yeah, not quite the slaughter it was the first time, though.
Yeah, I swear to God, the first time he kicked Ram's ass too. This time Ram's like, no thank you, and just beat him down.
I mean, it might have been a difference in context, because I think before he was out for blood, he was just trying to get the stone back.
Yeah, I think it might have a classic anime anger equals power kind of thing.
That's definitely possible too.
But yeah, obviously, that's the fight with Garfield and that kind of stuff, showing how, how much more serious Otto's become and how much his friendship with Subaru means is obviously important. But I mean, the highlight of the episode has to be the Amelia Subaru conversation, right? Like, this is going to be something that people are going to be talking about for a while.
Yeah, it's
because anime is not always known to do the most realistic, emotional dialogue. Most of the time, it always comes off as cheesy or something. But even though ReZero's obviously isn't super realistic in the setting, it always at least you feel it though. Like these characters, I don't know if it's the voice acting is obviously really well done.
Yeah, it just hits home because the whole conversation they had, I had flashbacks from a few lines to my conversations to like high school relationships. Like, oh shit.
Yeah, I would say stupid cheesy shit like that when I was in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah, the conversation, and like when I'm trying to think of what they actually talked about, it was pretty much just Subaru demanding that he loved Amelia, and her being like, you don't love me. She's like, you left me while I was sleeping, you lied, you broke your promise, you don't love me. He's like, no, I do love you. And she's like, oh, we'll prove it. And he's like, yeah. And then my favorite part is where he holds her and he's like, dodge if you don't want this. I'm like, there it is, buddy. That's listen, it's 2021, but I mean, let's not lie. In most media and anything like that, consent is a big thing these days. Yeah. If you look back to shows even from early 2000s or even 5 years ago, the amount of shows that you could analyze and be like, no, that would not fly anymore these days is so much. But I loved the dodge if you don't want this. He gave her a clear out. He was making sure there was consent. Subaru best boy.
Yeah.
And obviously, she didn't dodge.
I mean, no, they've built up everything up until this point for this, so it was going to happen.
Yeah, there was just so much emotional parts in this. At one point, I don't remember if it was Subaru talking about it was about the REM stuff again. Saying that someone has admitted that they loved him before and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now this was that was one of the most emotional episodes prior. When Subaru was at his absolute low, and Rem admitting that she loved him, and this was literally that episode, but now it's Subaru. It was
almost the exact same interaction if you think about it.
Yeah, most of it was.
It was a character saying I'm worthless, and the other character going, "No, fuck you, you're worth everything to me."
Yeah, and I think even too, Rem even shit talked Subaru in that conversation a little bit, being like, "Oh yeah, you're not that good at this, you're bad at this," but it's but I love you. And in this one, Subaru was like, "Oh yeah, you're he's shit talking her a little bit." She's getting real upset. He's like, "But I love you." It was really well done. Even ReZero, it doesn't need all this dying and coming back to to always keep everything going. Yeah. Obviously, that's something we love to see is all how the plot advances. But really, it wasn't really all about plot advancement. This one is more about character advancement and emotional growth and stuff. Which
I mean, even that is plot advancement here because it kind of sets up that they're not going to reset this cycle again.
You really hope not. We discussed this last episode with the emotional stuff behind Puck leaving and stuff like that.
Yeah.
About how if they do reset it, now I believe if ReZero chose to do it, they would do it right. They wouldn't just make this choice and fuck you over. But you still want to believe that this is not going to reset because then this character growth will stay.
Yeah. I mean, it would stay for Subaru either way, and the only thing I can think is maybe the creators are just oh shit, the Rem fans are rioting.
Yeah, no, I do think that there was like a hint still that Amelia is not like in love with Subaru. I think that there's
She's grasping at straws.
I feel like she probably loves him, but being, loving someone and being in love with someone is very different. I feel like, she still needed that in the moment, but she's definitely not like Rem level of being in love with him yet.
Oh God, no.
So this isn't like the end of who's the best girl, who's going to be who's ending up with Subaru. So, if you're thinking about that, don't be worried. There's still tons of time.
Yeah.
When we get a season 3, who knows who's going to be the main girl focus on that. It could finally be Ram. Oh, let's hope not. But yeah,
just the Rem arc again, just with more angst.
there was one other important piece of information. I think that it was someone in the comments mentioned it last week, which is about how like the talking with Roswell wasn't really just like a deal; it was like some sort of pact they formed.
A pact is a self-imposed deal where he has to be good. He has to work with him if he succeeds.
Yeah, now I mean that has like such heavy implications for like Subaru knowing all the shit that Roswell has done. Like even looked at this is obviously they haven't confirmed it yet, but this implies that the whole original thing with the disembowel or whatever the hell her name was, the original time Subaru's very first resetting arc was also probably by Roswell.
I mean, she's being used in this context to create a ticking clock for Subaru specifically. Now it makes me kind of wonder what her job was the first time.
I don't know, but like in general though, it just means that even if this all works out for Subaru and Roswell does have to support Amelia and be on his side, he still has to work beside someone who is actively like led to his death multiple times, like fucked over his like friends in multiple different timelines, stuff like that.
Yeah,
it's got to be really annoying for him to do. But
I
guess that's what makes him best boy is that he's going to suck up his pride to do what's going to work out best for Amelia.
Yeah, really. I mean, the only consolation he gets is knowing that Roswell's died in all those timelines too. So
yeah, but Roswell doesn't give a fuck about that.
I know.
Roswell's like, no, I'm doing this for other Roswell.
There is a certain catharsis in it, knowing that this one's working for him now.
Yeah, I did like the mention again to Subaru's mom. He mentioned that he gave the words of wisdom, being like from like the most
the woman he respects most in this world.
Yeah, exactly. And as I think I mentioned in the last episode, the one with Subaru and his parents was my favorite episode. So any callbacks to that is always good.
Oh, yeah.
That was definitely Subaru's his biggest character growth. Yeah, was just from that episode.
I mean, yeah, it kind of set up the whole season, just seeing him change and grow and actually start adapting, I guess, instead of just trying to force his way through. So
yeah, but yeah, the fact that you got all this stuff with Amelia and Subaru, and then you still remember that it was like an auto backstory episode. You're like, wait, how did they fit that in? But yeah, ReZero, no intros, no outros.
Yeah,
crazy.
You can do a lot with that extra time.
Where do you think we're going next week? What do you think the plan is?
We're probably going to see Amelia do her trial.
You think we're actually going to get to see it this time?
I wouldn't be surprised because we've gotten to see a little bit of it from when she was talking with Puck.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if they just build on it because it's just her facing her past, right? So
yeah, that's true. And then it's already been implied now. She's told us multiple times that little bits of her memory coming back at once, but we're still not seeing it. Obviously, we know that the one character is her mom because she's mentioned that, and we know that they all ended up like frozen. And the whole reason she's doing the royal selection is to she made a deal with Roswell that if she succeeds, that he will then unfreeze them. That he has that ability. So,
which on that note, he said he might be able to unfreeze them.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't trust Roswell.
If anything, I think that he might know the reason why they're frozen, which is probably something with Amelia, and then maybe he means that he might be able to solve that issue. So yeah, there's a good chance next episode we're gonna get to finally get all those little small pieces of Amelia's backstory puzzle and put it together. I didn't watch. I don't know if there was a next time. I don't think they have time for it.
If there was, I skipped it so I wouldn't be spoiled.
I think it probably just legit ended at the very last line of the show. Was probably like just done right after that.
Yeah.
So yeah, look forward to that though. Next week's gonna be pretty good. As I said, this episode was a really emotional one. If you're in this show for the action, obviously maybe you're not gonna love this episode, or you're gonna be missing out on some of the biggest draws of ReZero. But maybe in the next couple episodes we're gonna get that action again.
Yeah.
There's always these like we got introduced really early on in season 2 to some of those other the sins or whatever the hell they're called. Like and those characters are still in here.
Yeah, what was it? The Apostle of Sin and the Apostle of...
It was either Pride or Greed. I think it must have been Pride.
Well, one was Greed and one was either Pride or Sloth. I can't remember.
The one was Sloth, the one who controls all the animals, was it not?
That might be it, yeah.
Yeah, the little girl one, or the weird girl with sharp teeth or something. I don't remember.
Yeah.
This was like the first episode, I think, of season 2. But yeah, like when we look back at I always mix up his name with the Monster Hunter monster. What was his name? Basil Geese. Beelzebub guy is
Basil Juice.
But yeah, when we look back at him in season 1, obviously for so long he was like the main antagonist.
Yeah, which his whole thing was just possession, right? So he wasn't actually an active threat for the most of it.
Speaking of which, we actually got a cameo from him in the recent episode.
Yeah.
Involving in the Otto backstory. I was kind of confused because you got to remember that Otto is remembering this only from the timeline that succeeded, right?
Yeah.
So it would have been different depending on which which back, because a couple of different options that Subaru took involved Otto in some very small way. At that point, you probably wouldn't have even known he was going to be a future slightly important character.
Yeah, true. At that point, he was just an NPC.
But yeah, I was when they first showed that he was captured and tied up and all that kind of stuff. I was like, wait a minute, I can't even remember what was the succeeding one of Subaru's arcs that where this would have fit in. Because most of the time he used Otto to take him back to the mansion where then he got caught. So I was confused at it, but I was still like, it's kind of fun though, like seeing some sort of backstory of characters in the same time area, because their backstory would be different based off Subaru and all that kind of shit. So
yeah, getting to see that chain of events for them is kind of an interesting side note. So I'd like to see that for other characters actually.
Yeah, I would too. But yeah, an interesting episode. Hopefully in the next couple episodes we're gonna get the Amelia backstory. Maybe we'll get some more action. I think that obviously in the next couple episodes we're going to resolve the Roswell stuff, which means we need another antagonist to come in. So that's probably where we're going to get one of these archbishops, or they're going to end up actually having to go fight the people at the mansion and the assassins.
I mean, they're probably going to resolve the thing at the mansion. The only question I have is, because Roswell technically hired them,
can he cancel the order? Or maybe they're assassins you cannot cancel. There is no canceling orders.
Yeah, like maybe he didn't even pay them. Maybe he just said like, hey, there's going to be some people to kill there. Go nuts.
It's possible. Maybe he just put the breadcrumbs down and they kind of followed himself. It's not actually like a paid job.
That sounds like a very Roswell thing to do.
Yeah, but either way, we'll find it in the future episodes. So yeah, if you're a fan of ReZero, leave a comment or a theory, anything down below. I'd be really curious. I think that the biggest draw to ReZero, if you're still watching at this point, is the character growth and like those emotional arcs.
Yeah, this episode's definitely dialed back on the action a little bit. So.
Yeah, which as I said is definitely okay with I think most fans. But if you disagree, if you're one of those people like, no, I wish they would have cut all that stupid Subaru Amelia shit and showed me more Big Garfield fighting with Ram. Let us know down below. It's interesting to see other people's takes.
Yeah.
So. Okay, next up is Promised Neverland. So this would be season 2, episode number 2, and this does not have an episode title, I believe.
It does not. I don't know what it is because the other ones all did.
Yeah, season 1 had episode titles, but so far we've got nothing for season 2.
I mean, season 1 was all just numbers anyways, so I guess
that's true. Unless maybe there's like a translation thing and they'll come in eventually. Don't know if you know. Let us know down below.
Yeah, I am just ripping these straight off the Funimation website for the most part for the names. So
yeah, we're not doing like deep dives into Wikipedia and trying to figure it out. We're literally just going
Wikipedia
through
doesn't
the
have any
dives.
names either. Last I checked, so
well, then
I can do that much.
Either way, it is episode number 2 of
Yes.
season 2. So obviously the last episode you get the cliffhanger cliffhanger for the characters, not so much for us, them finding out that the people who rescued them are in fact demons.
Yeah, and we got a lot of world building this
It
episode.
was like entirely world building. I didn't believe that these characters would betray them, but I still had this like dread, this like I always had this like I don't trust anyone anymore.
Yeah, it's like, are they? Because I mean, they came from a place where everything seemed perfectly safe and they got screwed over. So now they're in something that's obviously dangerous.
Yeah. So I think the biggest revelation of the episode is definitely the reveal that there's basically like 2 worlds.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now they didn't completely say. I'm assuming it's all on one.
The world was divided.
One moral plane, like it's on still. But
yeah, not quite a real world in the future scenario. More of a.
I don't understand if it's like they took the Earth and they just built a wall halfway through. It sounded like it wasn't implied like that because they said there's like no passing over. But basically, it was actually, and it was reverse what you would have guessed. It was from the humans were hunting demons too much, and then demons retaliating, causing this like never-ending struggle.
Well, I mean, humans were hunting demons specifically because demons were eating humans. So it was kind of a cycle.
Yeah, but I mean, to be fair, that's just
humans,
circle of life. That's how demons are born.
Yeah, but then humans like developed and built tools and weapons, and then
then
they started hunting more demons, and demons were eating people. And
so yeah, basically never-ending conflict. So they made a deal. They said, hey, you know what? Humans are going to live on this side. Demons are going to live on this side. And demons are like, yeah, that's cool, bro, but what are we going to eat? We kind of need, you guys don't need demons to live. We kind of need humans to live.
I mean, which I think they could have just responded like, no, we know you guys can eat just fucking animals. Piss off.
But either way, that's where they established this whole system of the farms and stuff along those lines.
They gifted some humans to the demons to eat, who then bred them, which is just weird to fucking say.
Very smart, though. I mean, like, demons, obviously high intelligence, at least.
I mean, yeah, they're definitely smarter than what we could have assumed in a lot of capacities.
Yeah, a lot. I mean, we already have seen the demons talk and that kind of stuff, and obviously they're really running this whole system, so they must be intelligent.
Yeah, it's just a matter of how many of them are intelligent, because you have to remember, season 2, the first demon we saw was just a big lizard.
Yeah, that's
So-
true. But that was they haven't really went into the hierarchy system of the demons yet, because even when the other demons show up, they kind of treat that one like it's more like an animal.
Yeah, well, they just straight up guff it. So
Yeah. So obviously, that's the big world building. And then when Emma and Ray mentioned like wanting, they're kind of happy about it, right? They're like, that means there is a place where humans are completely safe from demons.
Yeah.
But then it's mentioned that there's no way to cross over, which makes me think it's some sort of more mythical or something that can't just be like a wall.
It sounds like a folk tale. It could even be like folklore, because one of the things, stories and legends were always a way of teaching lessons, right?
Yeah. So,
So-
it's they're trying to specifically make fake stories to stop the humans and demons from like crossing over.
Yeah, basically say it's impossible and there's no reason you'd want to do it, so don't try.
But I feel like, because this was obviously, they mentioned originally these kids thought it was like, not how many years ago did they think it was? They didn't think it was that. They thought it was like 100 years ago or something.
They were kind of sketchy on the time frame, because the demon said like, yeah, no, it's still 2046 or whatever it was, but it's been 1,000 years.
Yeah, so the year was right. They thought the year was right, but they thought this whole demon taking over humanity thing was only like 100 years old or something like that. But then
Yeah.
they mentioned it's been like thousands. But I feel like if that was true, within those thousands of years, there would definitely be humans that would get curious and try to, if there was just some sort of physical barrier, either demons, starving demons who didn't get the quality grade little kid meat would cross over, or humans vice versa or something.
I mean, the high quality meats very much indicated that it's supposed to go towards a specific group, like almost a leader or a religious group.
Yeah, like they obviously mentioned that the perfect, I'm pretty sure what was supposed to be Ray was being prepared for the one, or whatever the hell they were called.
Yeah, maybe we offer the best plate at something or other.
Yeah, so that would be interesting if they're just kind of used to keep it out, but I still feel like there has to be something more mythical than that. I can't imagine like there's just some sort of big ass Trump wall trying to keep one side out.
There's probably something magical or something beyond our understanding stopping it as well. But I'm sure that a lot of people don't try because there's no point to it.
Yeah, that's it obviously feels like you want to be like, some sort of stupid like mythical reason wouldn't make very much sense, but also it's a story with demons, so you could definitely fit it in there, even if it is some sort of wall, but there's like a fucking spell on it or some sort of material that demons can't cross and it's impossible for humans to get over or something. I don't think we're going to be getting the answers to these questions for quite some time anyways.
Oh god, no, they're not going to get to the human world anytime soon.
But yeah, it was a nice little piece of world building anyways. It gave the characters hope, even though what was the demon's name? I can't remember. It was started with an S. Sanju, Sobu, something like that.
It's something like that. I hate that I can't remember it.
But yeah, a lot of the episode revolved around him and then the other female demon teaching these children things they know to survive. So, they obviously had that book already, but they're teaching them more about the wildlife.
Yeah, they're kind of expanding what they already taught them, because before they knew that the plants had water in them, but this one it shows them that they can actually pick them and use them as water bottles.
Yeah, and then the big thing too is that at one point he's going out and then Emma asks to go with him.
Yeah.
And Emma asks for him to help her like hunt. She actually wants to take a living thing's life because that's the kind of survival apex predator instinct shit she needs when they get out there.
Yeah, she needs to be able to kill to defend.
Yeah, so she hunts it was a bird, I think, some sort of big bird.
Yeah, it looks, I don't know, kind of quailish.
Yeah,
I guess.
maybe whatever the weird demon future quail is. But
I mean, everything about this is fantastical. Like none of these animals exist in our world.
They're like flying little leaf lizards and all a bunch of shit. But yeah, so she hunts it. And then she does the kill, and then we also learn the weird background lore behind the roses we've seen.
Yeah.
They're in the imagery a lot for the show. Even
I thought they were chrysanthemums. I can't say that word for some reason.
I don't even in my mind I can't remember what they look like. I just picture like a rose that's white then turns red.
Yeah, it's a lot of smaller flowers surrounding like a branching out stem. So,
but yeah, we see it as early, other than just the imagery. What was her name? Connie, the little girl in season 1, when they're first showed, she has the rose in her, pure red. And then, it just seems like, obviously, if you're like a hunter and you hunt things, you normally have to bleed the animal out. Yeah. So this just seems like a cool, effective demon way to do that. It's just like a plant. You shove it in. Does it have to be the heart?
He says, I think the heart's just the easiest way to do it because it's the center of the, your circulatory system.
Yeah, so, you shove it in, it pulls the blood out, thus keeping the meat more fresh and that kind of shit. So
and the demon guy says it's also a way of showing respect. It's almost a religious ritual in the same regard.
Yeah, so I mean, that has to be treated a couple different weird ways in Emma's mind. Being like, oh, Connie, but it's like, you know what? At least they really, they respected that meat. They're giving him the blessing. Probably
there was the consolation that it was like, okay, yeah, they respected them and they didn't die in pain.
Yeah, which is nice. And then with the whole reason that these demons aren't bad is because based off their religion, they say they don't eat humans. So
it's just kind of weird. I think this is the first time religions had a positive effect in anime.
For now, until there's a twist. But yeah, I mean, once again, it obviously didn't have as much action as episode 1. You know, episode 1 started with them being chased by a demon to then Rey trying to flee from the demon hounds and the sword guy after them, and had tons of action. This one was 100% way more world building.
Oh,
but that kind of shit's really important because I think as early as the next episode, they're finally going to be leaving this nest. I still think that there's a good chance that these demon people are going to be traveling with them. It's possible.
It's almost possible because they specifically said that they're nomads and that they don't live in one specific place. So
yeah, either that or they're going to be, you know, going with them a short little while and they're going to leave. Then they're going to come back in maybe when the kids are in danger again. There's still a lot of questions as to the whole plan by the children. Obviously, is to find this specific area, to find the William Minerva who wrote the book, all this kind of shit. But now knowing what we know about the world and the separation, it still kind of leaves us wondering, like, was this another farm child sometime in the last 1,000 years who escaped and made like his own, you know, area, his own people?
I mean, the big question is, William Minerva wrote a lot of the books that the kids read.
Yeah.
If it's been 1,000 years, it's no way it's the same dude.
Yeah, but we don't know if the books were read like 1,000 years ago. And
you also have to remember I can't remember what her name is, the other caretaker who was in the first season.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about.
She had the pen that she found in the lab that also had the information.
Yeah, so there's a lot of questions about the fuck's going on with this whole situation.
Which, on that note, they did show that the pursuing demons saw the note Rey left.
Yeah, no, okay. So I was wondering, I couldn't even read that note properly. It was like
it was pursuers, and then it gave the coordinates they're heading to. I'm pretty sure.
See, I would have thought this was like a trap, something that Rey was doing, but why the hell would he do that?
I don't know. I didn't have a chance to look at the coordinates properly. And I haven't had a chance to go back and rewatch the episode. So
Rey seems too smart for that.
At the same time, if he's the one who had the pen.
But even then, you think that one of them would have written down the coordinates, or one of them probably would have had it memerized out of all like
this is Rey.
Really smart kids there.
This is Rey we're talking about. I'm sure he has a little bit of contempt.
It's true, but I have to think that he did that as like some sort of trap, like their coordinates in the opposite direction, because he knew he was about to be caught. So it seems like there's a good chance that he wrote down coordinates in the opposite way they're going to try and trick these people who probably think humans are relatively dumb animals, you know, right? Like they're meat they eat. Obviously,
I mean,
there's an extent where they're obviously trained to be smarter so that the brain tastes better and that kind of stuff, and they know that this is one of the most.
I don't think this is an ethical conundrum for them as it is for us, because they're demons. Their whole thing is eating humans.
Yeah, it just really comes down to if they think that if, like, let's say Rey did lay down a trap, like he put coordinates in the exact opposite direction, would they acknowledge that like the humans are like that he's smart enough to actually trick them? Would they be like, oh, he's tricking us? You know, knowing they did acknowledge, I think, in the episode that he is a smart one that's meant for something better. I think they just knew that.
Yeah, he was. I think they specifically said he was supposed to be the one that was offered up to the Supreme One, or
yeah. So I mean, it really just depends. I hope that Rey seems like obviously he's made a couple dumb moves, or he's actually been played a few times just in season 1 alone.
Yeah,
but he is still supposed to. Yeah, he is supposed to be really smart. So I assume he wouldn't be so stupid as to write the coordinates where they're going on a tree right when where he's getting caught.
I mean, part of it too is he's a little arrogant.
Oh, for sure.
So maybe he assumed that his distraction and getting caught would be enough to deter them away from that.
Maybe, but he's getting better though. So I believe in him. I think that he's laying some sort of trap down.
Possibly.
We can only hope. But yeah, that was mainly it for episode number 2. Obviously, a lot more world building than action. But I mean, it's not like we're going to have to wait a long time to see more action.
Yeah, we saw a few little interactions, like Gilda getting mad at Emma. And
which is fair.
I mean, we did learn that her cutting off her ear wasn't actually part of the plan.
Yeah, and I wonder, because like the thing is, she would have had to get out really fast. Like she only had, from what we saw, she only had seconds between the mother walking and seeing the burning Rey to then looking back to check on Emma. Like it was not very long. So then
I still want to know what happened to that little taser box they had.
I'm assuming they gave it to Dawn or Gilda, and they used it to get rid of all the other kids' things while this was going on. But yeah, either way, Emma, the whole point is that, you know, it's about their survival, and it's a classic in any sort of survival movie, even in shit like zombies and stuff like that. You know, people keeping injuries and shit secret, never a smart thing. Because you don't treat shit like that well, and then, you know, leads to stuff like fevers, which slows them down a crazy amount. And Emma should be smarter than that, but I mean, she's also probably a little too proud, and she thinks it would slow everyone down while it was much more important. That's a very like generic plot you see in a lot of survival things like that.
A lot of shows like this, someone always pushes themselves too far. They always collapse, and
I'm glad they didn't overdo it though. Like like something like that to me would have bored me if that was like a plot through multiple episodes. But just that it was there to be a point, so that now she's already learned that that's no longer acceptable. Right? Get rid of all those flaws early on.
Sure.
You know, when you're still learning with the stuff, because then you don't have time later for it. So yeah, this was a big learning episode for the characters and for us,
Yeah.
which is really good. I think going forward, though, the next couple episodes, we're going to get a lot more action.
We're probably going to get some conflict in the next episode. I don't know if it's going to be with the heretics and the pursuing demons, or if it's going to be something else. But
Yeah, it could just be more kind of like the demon in the first episode. It could just be more outside forces. Like we
Yeah.
don't know what the deal with that thing was. If there are wild demons and civilized demons, like that we still don't know that kind of shit about the world. So that would be fun to learn about.
yeah, because we know that like high quality meat seems really tempting to these demons. So we don't know if some of them will just go berserk over it, or
Yeah, maybe it was just maybe that was a nice little demon who's taking a stroll for his daily steps, and just like
Yeah.
the bloodlust just came over him.
yeah, no control, man. Couldn't help it.
Yeah, poor lad. But yeah, we'll be talking about Promise Neverland next week with episode number 3. If you were a fan of this episode, leave a comment down below with any theories, likes, thoughts, anything like that. Okay, next up, of course, is So I'm a Spider, So What?
Episode 2.
Episode number 2.
Name My House on Fire.
Yep. Did you actually know that in the episode her house does in fact get lit on fire?
Really?
So obviously we mentioned this earlier, but this was one of the ones we weren't sure if we were going to cover originally.
Yeah.
It was inside of our poll to see if people wanted to see it covered. But thanks to the people on the subreddit, a lot of people seem to really like it. And most of what we've seen is light novel people coming in to see reactions of people who have no idea what the show's about.
Yeah.
Obviously, we know that it's about a person who's reincarnated as a spider. But from what I've heard from most of the light novel readers, there's lots of good character growth, lots of twists, stuff you don't expect.
It's not what you expect from an isekai.
Yeah, it's a lot of, taking the tropes, turning them on their head, showing something that we weren't expecting. At the same time, half the people that commented were like, hey, like a lot of people are hyping this up, It took really long for the light novel to have these like really, really good arcs. You might not even get to that point in the anime. It basically
Probably
doesn't do
not.
popular and stuff like that. But yeah, it's not like I'm not gonna let hype over an anime destroy it. I'm just still gonna watch it, and as long as I enjoy it, I enjoy it.
That's one of the appeals to what we do in going in blind as much as we can. And I will admit that isn't always the case for me.
Yeah, I mean there are some things like as we had a couple people in the comments mention Attack on Titan, and I used to read the manga for that. Like I have it behind me, but at some point to me, I didn't know which form of media I liked more between manga and anime, and I just doing them both at the same time. One of them you're spoiling something for yourself.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the person. But yeah, obviously you've seen stuff, you've read like Horimiya and stuff like that.
I never expected it to get an anime, so I'm caught up on it.
Yeah, but I mean, this is definitely a good thing for this show because this show seems like, from what we've heard from the fans, that it's going to have a lot of twists and turns.
That light novel hype is what's going to keep this alive if it goes past the first season. So
yeah, so I mean, if you're one of these people that's from and you want to watch two people who have no idea what the fuck they're doing talk about it, well, perfect. You came to the right place.
That seemed to be a big thing for a lot of people.
It
coming
did
into the
seem to
comments,
be a big thing. But yeah, honestly, as long as the show stays enjoyable, I don't need it to be masterfully well written or anything like that. But as long as I'm enjoying my time while I watch it, which I definitely have been for the first 2 episodes, then that's all that matters, and we'll keep talking about it.
Yeah, which on that note, we should probably actually talk about the episode.
We should probably talk about the episode, yes. So there's a couple important things. Obviously, we had some questions last week about the reincarnation. These characters, we meet the humans at the end, and it seems like they've been reincarnated for years. Like they've grown up in these reincarnated bodies. While this spider lady, I think her name's Kumiko, or
I think so. It's something very close to Spider.
Yeah, it's something very close to that. But she has been recently reincarnated, which leaves some sort of weird time disparity between the two of them. But this one, we get a little bit more time with the humans. We get a little bit more, to know who they are. A couple interesting, and this just made me believe that they have been born in these bodies and raised. But like the character going on about his non-reincarnated brother. Yeah. That's the kind of brotherly respect you get as you grow old. Grow up with these
He's definitely had
siblings.
time to develop that. That's not something he just had programmed into him when he rolled up. So
yeah, and then obviously we learn a lot. We see a couple different scenes where the main character is being like bullied at school.
Which I mean, we knew that was coming.
We knew that was coming, but I did like the little twist of that the bully was actually the person who then got reincarnated as the dragon.
Yeah.
Which was cool because she's like, I was reincarnated as a monster because I bullied her at school. So she's like, I deserve this kind of thing. She's like, I'll do the best that I can with it. That's mostly it from the human perspective. You're not getting tons more other than the one guy discussing his like really good adventure brother, a non-reincarnated brother.
That dude is dying. There is no doubt in my mind. He is dead. That flag is popped.
Like off-screen death though, because they showed him a lot though, which means I think he's coming in.
I feel like he's going to try and attack the spider.
I think that she's going to meet him.
She's going to kill him. She's going to poison Fang his ass. He's going to drop dead.
That'll have some big implications for the upcoming when eventually I have no idea how long it's going to be before she meets the rest of the characters. It seems like something they're just going to throw at you like
we
really
don't know
soon.
she is. Like one of the questions I have, and I'm sure this is just a style choice. But if you watch the opening and the ending, there's a lot of scenes where they show 4 different spiders, each representing a different role. I'm kind of curious if there's going to be another spider.
I think it's just her.
I think it is, but I'm kind of curious if they want to go down that road. If she makes an adventuring party of spiders.
Because in this episode, near the end, or at least the end of her little section, she evolves,
Yeah.
We don't actually just kind of passes it. We don't get to see it. I think the next episode, we're going to see like the more spiky version I've seen from like the opening.
Yeah, because she had the choice of what? Lesser Tesseract and...
It was Lesser Tesseract and small something else.
It was small Tesseract,
and she's like, I'm not going with any lesser thing.
I'm pretty sure they were both Tesseract.
But yeah, a lot of the episode, obviously, we're seeing her grow. It's still, the show very much reminds me of Beaufry, which I really liked. But the magic system, like the leveling up system, is very similar.
Yeah, you experience something, you get experience in it. And I think a big part of the comparison there is the fact that she just eats everything.
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, it makes more sense for her, who was reincarnated as a spider, a monster.
Yeah, she's
than
trying
it did for the girl in the VR MMO video game to just try and eat everything around.
Yeah. I mean, I think her reaction was just like, oh crap, I'm trapped. I'm going to try and bite this. And it's like, oh, it tastes okay. I'm going to keep eating it. It's like,
but yeah, a lot of it so far has been adventure, right? We still have no idea really the size of this dungeon that she's reincarnated in. But it's went from, she's already, at this point, she's fucking tired of killing frogs. She's like, oh, I have so many frogs. Then at one point she encounters like the centipede bug and then the entire herd of centipede bugs.
Yeah. Don't fuck with swarms, man.
A couple human interactions, which, I mean, obviously the big question about that is the egg.
Yeah, coming across a worm egg.
Yeah, now there is one thing that I was interested. Did you say it after the credits?
I think so.
After the credits is the blue-haired character reading the book about like the Earth Dragon, and then being like, "Hey, like you could be one of these one day if you like evolve." And she's like, "Ugh, no girl wants to be a big tough dragon."
Then they show like a really nasty ass looking monster in the book.
Yeah,
it's
but
like,
it was funny because obviously this character that is the one who bullied her is now an Earth Dragon of some sort, and this egg that we're seeing from her was actually, I think it even said Earth Dragon egg or Earthworm egg.
Earthworm egg.
Yeah, because Earthworm, I thought maybe something else, but
that's what I thought when I heard it. That's what my brain said, but then I looked at it, it's like, oh no, worm is in dragon.
So yeah, this made me wonder if maybe because once again we know nothing. I was thinking that it's possible originally that maybe these are in 2 separate timelines, and this could be the egg that hatches her and reincarnates that gets taken by these humans, if it is 2 separate timelines, or it could be related to her in some point, because it seemed like a big coincidence that a lot of the episode from the spider's point of view takes place around this egg or humans trying to capture it.
That is true, but they also mentioned that there's an earthworm that's wrecking shit up around the area, so it's possible it's tied to that.
Yeah, that earthworm has the egg and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Either way, I feel like there's a lot of the connection at the very end. The end credit or the post-credit scene was just there pretty much to tell us, hey, this character is a very unevolved version of an earthworm, an earth dragon. So I feel like there's some sort of connection there, obviously, after we learn what the egg is. But yeah, a lot of the episode takes place around her getting the egg originally, protecting it for a little while. Then humans come in and obviously set her house on fire.
Yeah, it specifically shows her trying to eat it and just not being able to crack the damn thing open. And
yeah, using like a pulley system with the webs to just try and smash it. Doesn't work. Because I think that was before she got the better appraisal system, and it just said egg. But yeah, a lot of it, the big conflict in this is when she fights the big ass snake.
Yeah, the first, I guess, boss battle we technically got.
Yeah, so I will say again that one of the big things when this show was first shown was obviously going to be comparison between that and Reincarnated as a Slime.
Yeah. And
then one of the things everybody was saying was like, okay, yeah, but like the power scale in this, like the scale is on such a smaller scale. It actually feels like it. Like, even though she's getting these levels, it's not like all of a sudden she just became OP. If this was Reincarnated Slime in the first episode, she would have eaten that frog and then got the power to jump better than anything in the world, and then like triple backflipped on top of the snake in this episode.
She would have gotten acid breath.
Yeah, she would have just absolutely destroyed everything. The fight against the snake, while it worked out for her, was like almost immediately close to death.
Yeah.
And we don't know the parameters of death in this world, but we're gonna assume it's death until proven otherwise.
Yeah, until we get like proper video game, like, hey, you respawn bullshit. You're dead.
But yeah, so it was extreme struggle. It took a lot of skill, and a lot of it was based around the fact that in her previous life, when she was being bullied, is that she like ran away from most of her issues. And then now she's like, I'm done running. So she literally at one point is going to run away. She's like, nope, never mind. She's like, I'm not running anymore.
Yeah.
I'm solving my own issues. She gets in the epic fight with the snake and she wins. And then obviously that's what eventually causes her to evolve. So I'm excited to see her evolve form in the next episode. I think it's going to be spiky one that we've seen in the openings.
Probably, yeah.
I'm just really curious as to when they're going to do. I think they're going to do the connection of the spider meets the human characters and that kind of stuff. But I think it's going to be real late.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to play that card too early because they still need to get her to a point where they're not going to immediately just step on her.
But yeah, the thing is, I think that if they introduce her to the humans this early, it just won't really make any sense with like the flow of the rest of the show. But at the same time, do you really think they're going to keep her in the dungeon for like 20? Because I think this is going to be a 25 episode series, is it not?
I think so, yeah. And I don't necessarily think they're going to keep her in the dungeon. I just don't think they're going to introduce her to the human side of the story yet.
Possible.
Plus this could be a huge ass dungeon. It could have multiple biomes. It could be a whole other series just in this dungeon.
But the brother, you think the brother's going to come in, get like bitten by her, killed, and then at some point
he is dead. There is
and then
no
at some point
denying
she's going to go meet these characters and be like, he's going to be like, yeah, but we lost my brother some time ago, and she's going to be like, oh, did he look like you? Oh yeah, I ate him.
I mean, one of the things, because I remember in the opening, there's a very quick scene where it shows someone getting an item and then crying over it. So somebody is dying, and I don't think it's going to be one of the reincarnated T's.
I mean, that'd be kind of interesting, though. That's a character death is such a quick way to turn a series far more dark than you expect. And at this point, it's definitely not a series we're really expecting to get dark anyways.
I mean, it's had some pretty dark moments, like when she got the big scar across her eye and the acid burns.
That's true, but then they just erased that.
I mean, yeah, but...
obviously, bullying's always a dark subject, and anime loves touching on it. I did like the little, now the bully is the character that...
Yeah,
that
she's kind of reflected on her actions. Like, maybe that's why I'm here. I'm not going to feel horrible about it, but I'm going to try and be a better person this time, at least.
Well, even so, that could lead to good interactions later on when they do meet again.
Yeah, I mean... Because one of the things I do have to ask, and I can't remember if it's the opening or their ending, they do show something that looks like a spider queen. Do we think the spider's going to turn into a human at some point?
See, I'm torn. Obviously, if I go off my thoughts of something like reincarnated as the slime, you obviously, half the time, the slime characters, or Rimuru, is in the body of a more humanoid person.
Yeah.
But I feel like this show might actually do just the spider.
Yeah, like it could be symbolic or it could be another character. Like there's a lot of different ways you can go with that.
Yeah, as much as I'd love to say for any typical anime, I think they definitely would at some point get a more humanoid form.
Yeah, it's easier to sympathize with and it's easier to market something with a human face on it than a spider.
It's much easier to make a waifu material than just having a CGI spider. I did actually notice the CGI a lot more in this episode. Not that it was bad. There was just a lot like the spider dancing and that kind of stuff. And, all the creatures like the snake and the frogs and all that kind of stuff.
But I think that works in the context of when you're dealing with monsters, using CGI really works because it kind of gives them that otherworldly feel.
Now, Kumodesu is in fact the same studio. See, I don't know if it's the same CGI studio or the same studio that did Berserk 2016.
Yeah, it's Leiden.
Yeah, but I mean, compared to that, this looks really good. It hasn't bothered me yet. I just noticed a lot in this episode.
I think it's because it's monsters.
Probably.
They just suck at humans.
I mean, but at some point, there's a chance that if the action combines between the humans and them, are we going to get the human and CGI?
I wouldn't be surprised if they mix the two.
I watched Wave, was the surfing anime this week.
Right.
We're not talking about it on here, but their CGI looked pretty awful for like the surfing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I think the rest of the show is still going to be good, but that's kind of hard to
There's
ignore.
a lot of CGI this season.
I think it's just kind of the fad that anime is going. It's like the direction that anime is going to be taking.
It became a little bit more acceptable than Attack on Titan took it in. Everyone was like, guess we can do it now. Cool.
Yeah. They're like, well, look, big show of the year's doing it. We can do it too. But yeah, I mean, as I said, there's not always going to be tons to talk about with the Kumodesu unless some big twists come up that everyone's waiting for us to describe.
That's the nature of the beast with isekai.
But yeah, I'm still, right now, I'm literally blind. I have no idea where the show's going. Like, they could literally keep this character in this dungeon for the next, like, whole season for all we know. Like, as long as they keep up, like, obviously, the big draw right now is she's a very fun character. Very entertaining to watch, even when most of the situations are just her by herself.
Yeah, like, it almost seems like she's someone who's going through a minor breakdown sometimes.
I mean, yeah, she made
a sink, she made a TV, all out of webs
that don't work.
Yeah, so there's something there.
Yeah, it's obviously, as long as the character's really entertaining, it leads the show pretty well. So there's a chance they could just keep just this character progressing through this like dungeon before, for episodes on episodes before we even get the continuation or whatever the story is overall.
Yeah, because I mean, you have to remember, they've been talking up an earthworm in the area. Mm-hmm. So she's going to deal with that at some point.
We assume.
That or it's going to kill the brother.
Yeah, that or the brother goes to kill that and, meets the spider, and then the spider, who knows?
I'm not going to lie. If the brother doesn't die, I'm going to be mildly angry.
Whoa, we haven't even met this brother. He could be best boy.
I know. I've got it so set in my mind now. I need him to die.
I am curious. Obviously, there's been a lot of introduced characters that are like the reincarnated ones, like sons of nobles and all that kind of stuff. I'm curious as to how much character growth we get from them we're seeing the most out of this blue-haired kid.
Yeah,
I
he's-
assume at some point his backstory might tie into her slightly. Like maybe he was the one kid that was like nice to her or something in the school.
No, he's going to be the one who instigated it.
Oh fuck! Wow, that'll be a twist.
I mean, the way this show is going, if they're going to subvert our expectations, just go whole hog and just do it. I mean, they'd obviously have to do it written halfway decent to make it work, not just like, by the way, he's actually an asshole.
Yeah,
But
yeah. Either way, I'm kind of curious to see how much character we actually get from these more side characters, like the other classmates, and if they ever actually touch into. I assume not for a long time the actual reincarnated process of what happened to their class kind of thing.
yeah, because we've seen all the ones that have been reincarnated as nobles. We've seen one reincarnated as a dragon, then one as a spider.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are there any of them just got reincarnated as like some random schmuck?
Well, I think they said that some were still missing, right? Like she doesn't have the whole class, so maybe some are just like, hey, this is the farmer's daughter.
Yeah, exactly. Because the bully even asks, like, have you found? Did we decide what her name was? Kumiko?
It's close to that.
Yeah. Anyway, she asked, have you found her? It's like, nope, not yet.
Yeah, because she literally it's because she's feeling bad, right? She's like,
she was literally just talking about. It's like, yeah, I was kind of a bitch. That's why I'm here. So,
but yeah, the second episode, just like the first, was definitely entertaining. It's just entertaining watching that main character just kind of do her own thing, whether it's having fun in her cool spider house and building her TVs, or if it's fighting giant snakes. It's been entertaining so far.
On the topic of the episode name, I do want to note, like, I knew fire was going to come into this at some point.
Yeah,
that's a natural instinct when you're dealing with webs.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like a lot of the human drama aspect in this episode with like her versus the humans was kind of like rushed over, you know, like there was no debating on her. She's like, oh, should I kill some humans here, or like, can I do anything? Or
it was very much like, oh, I either run or I get burned alive. Okay.
Yeah, and then obviously later in the episode we learned that she's no longer going to run. So what's going to happen next time a human wanders in?
I think it's going to be the brother. He's going to die.
Listen, that'll get this story way deeper than I mean, I can't even say that I think it's going to get because I have no idea, as we've discussed.
This definitely has the potential to have some really deep story notes. I mean, it may not be deep every single second of the show, but
yeah. I mean, all we can do is wait till we get there. We'll probably be discussing episodes continue on.
Yeah.
As I said, sometimes it might be, if it's like a really, really slow episode, it might be swapped out with something like Mushoku Tensei. If not, we might talk about them both, or there might be a slow week of Mushoku Tensei where we don't talk about that. So,
yeah, we're kind of playing the isekai and the slice of life by ear at this point. So
yeah. So as always, if you have any theories, opinions, that kind of stuff, most of the people coming from the subreddit have read the light novel, so we do prefer spoiler-free content.
Yeah.
Or if, as I said, if you want to write a spoiler and someone wants to read it, make sure it's low enough down that it's in a read more section.
Yeah. Put a few dash lines in there and just make sure.
Yeah, spoiler, a couple dashes, make sure it's down far enough below. So if anyone does want to, some people like spoiler content, some people don't. So as long as we make sure that everybody actually has the option, that'll be good. Okay. Yep. Next up on the list would be Jujutsu Kaisen episode number 14.
Kyoto Sister School Exchange Event - Group Battle 0.
Perfect. We got the entire plot in the one title.
Yeah.
Obviously, this is the first week back since the Christmas break. So the first episode of 2021. The last one we just had that recap holiday episode thing.
Yeah,
it wasn't even like a recap episode. It was like
it was a clip show. It was a full recap. Like, hey, this is the story so far.
Yeah,
a little talk with the one voice actor.
Yeah, so. a little glimpse of what is up and coming. So obviously, just like we knew, this is the start of a brand new arc, the tournament arc that we kind of saw coming. With that comes a brand new opening. We're no longer focusing on the old characters and the first arc kind of thing. So we get a lot more. Did you watch the opening?
I did, and I want to watch it again. It was amazing.
Yeah, you still get a lot of really good scenes in there. You get a lot of the other characters, because now with the main cast from this school, even though I think not all the characters, but definitely the guy who loves his waifus and the sister.
he's gonna play a relatively major role.
Yeah, in the last opening, those two, as well as the main school's team, like the panda and the guy who can't talk and that kind of stuff, they were all had like one little scene inside the last opening, but it spent most of the time focusing on Itadori and oh god, now it's been 3 weeks since we talked about him, since he's died.
Jujutsu Sasuke.
Yeah, no, the other guy who died.
Oh yeah. Oh god, but oh my god, Miyaki.
No, it's been too long since we talked about him. But obviously, the last opening had a lot to do with him and Itadori in it. But now that his arc's done, this one has a lot more of the actual school characters.
Yeah.
Episode, obviously, this one was a lot of setup.
We got some world building. We got a few details.
You got a few details. You got a little bit of an old man being kind of a dick.
Yeah, which on that note, they finally reintroduced Itadori to the group.
Yeah, and it was not at all like how we thought it was going to be. I think in one of the previous episodes, we went over, obviously we've mentioned before that this show takes a lot of classic shonen tropes and either improves on them or kind of just
makes fun of them
or doesn't do them at all.
Yeah,
they
parodies,
subvert expectations. But yeah, still, we had that feeling like, hey, they have to reintroduce this character that has died. You know, how are we going to get it? He's going to like pop up for this epic moment in like a first fight or something like that.
Yeah, and nope.
Not at all. Not at all. No.
No, he shows up. It's supposed to be his big epic moment. Everyone just deadpans at him, and the other group doesn't even look at him. Just
Yeah, I mean, it's still kind of funny, the whole setup. Like Gojo, or whatever his name is, thinks it'd be funny this way. So he just puts Itadori in a box. Yeah, and they
just
show
has
it
it
like,
pop up. It's like, here's a souvenir.
yeah, he's like, I got gifts for the other school, little souvenirs, like, and here's a gift for this school. And it's like Itadori comes up, he's like, hey, I'm alive.
He doesn't even say that. He says, what was it? Oh my God. Something like SPP or something like that.
It was definitely subverting expectations, because that is not at all the way I thought that it would go.
Which, I mean, that's kind of a realistic reaction to, by the way, guys, I'm not dead.
Yeah, and the funniest part too is that the principal of the school is also there, and he's just fucking pissed, right?
Yeah.
The whole reason Itadori died the original time was because the school didn't like having the possible.
Yeah, they specifically sent him on a mission that he couldn't complete with the intention that he would die.
The intention he would die, and they wouldn't have to worry about this anymore. But now he has come back, so they're pissed. Which leads into what's going to be upcoming plot during this first round of the tournament. He's instructed the other the sister school to kill Itadori.
Yeah, just straight up, like, not even pretending, just like, yeah, he's evil, kill him.
Yeah, they're like, yeah, we can't really have Sukuna's vessel. It's too risky. Just take him out. And some of the characters seem like they're not that for it. Like even the main strong boy really doesn't give a fuck.
I also got the vibe he didn't want to. Like, he was just very much like I think it's going to come down to what Itadori's answer to his question is going to be.
Oh, you know Itadori's going to answer the question right, though.
I don't know.
100%. I think he's answering the question.
What was the answer he gave?
What?
Like when he was talking about a woman earlier in the series, it was a famous actress, and I can't remember the name.
Jennifer Lawrence.
That's it.
Yeah, but either way, I feel like this guy, he wants the bodacious women, and there's probably a reason Itadori typically likes women from the West. So all I'm saying is I have a feeling that they're going to meet. Itadori's going to answer the question.
He's going to switch sides.
Like snap, like right away, unlike, Megumin had to think about it for a little while and then gave the terrible answer. Itadori's going to instant answer it without even a second thought, and it's going to be the perfect answer. And then he's going to be like, yeah, can't kill this guy.
Then what? He's going to fight his own team? Because he specifically said he didn't like their answers.
I know. Well, the funny thing is now I don't know what to, because obviously what you'd expect from the show is that he's going to go up, and he's already been shown to be one of the strongest characters we've met, at least in the school. So he's always going to have to fight Itadori. But what kind of way to subvert expectations other than making him walk up like Itadori's answer and then refusing to either then he's going to fight him, being like, I acknowledge you and I want to fight you now to see your physical strength. But he's not going to want to kill him though, because they've bonded. Or they're going to completely subvert it, and he's going to be like, yep, can't fight you. That answer's too pure,
Yeah. I mean, the big question too is you have to remember Megumi specifically said he thinks that Itadori could beat them all if they take curse techniques out of the equation.
Yeah, he's not only all of them, all of their team too.
Yeah,
at one time, and then they're just like, oh fuck, okay, like, oh,
yeah.
I am really excited to see. As far as we know that Itadori's been training, but the show hasn't really showed us any of it. We've seen his fight probably about midway through his training. With Mashiro. And
a lot of it was just energy control, right? We didn't see him actually take on any of these missions he was supposed to do to kind of build himself up. So
so I'm really excited to see when we first get him fighting. But yeah, even like the blue-haired girl that had a big crush on like Gojo.
Yeah,
she's like a second year at that school, and she definitely was the most, at least inner monologue verbally, about not wanting to have to go kill this dude.
Yeah, she was, especially considering it's her freaking idol's student. She doesn't want to murder him.
Yeah, there was like the good boy who was like, "Oh, I mean, my family is way too prideful," and he's like, "This,
he's a fucking double agent."
Yeah, and he's like, Itadori is a scumbag for even being this. And
you remember how the evil Jujutsu sorcerer said he has an in with the school?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's totally that dude.
Well, even Gajo in this episode acknowledges that he thinks someone inside the school is working with them.
Yeah, it's gonna be that guy.
You think that's the guess?
That's my bet.
I mean, I'm excited to see who that is. I was wondering if it was either a student or if it was a teacher. Like they're gonna do some sort of twist.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised, but that's my bet. That or the robot.
We haven't met enough. Oh, yeah, okay. Robots, never trust them. Okay, right? We're humanity. Robots are waiting to take us over. That's a fact. Never trust robots because they already have built-in surveillance. That's perfect for spying.
Google, put down the gun. We're not picking a fight here.
I don't exactly know how they're going to utilize Mr. Roboto to his full power.
I don't even know what he is. Like, aren't they supposed to be a secret society fighting things people don't know about?
Yes.
And they've got a robot?
Yes.
And a talking panda?
Yeah.
and a dude with face tattoos that just speaks in rice bowl ingredients.
Yes. Yeah. All of these things are normal apparently in Japan.
What the fuck?
But yeah, I don't. That's the thing is that it's like we understand it's a shonen, so you have to have some wacky ass characters.
I know, but a robot?
It does take away from a little bit of the darkness in Jujutsu and trying to be a little more realistic. But I mean, if they do it well, they do it well. And that's what matters. But I think we have to see more of, especially this robot character, to understand what the fuck is going on.
Maybe he's not a robot. Maybe he's some dude with a lot of prosthetics.
I feel like he could be just a human, and his like cursed power is like the robot shell that maybe he either is controlling it, maybe he's not even there, or he wears it, kind of thing. That's a possibility.
Yeah.
We've seen kind of like Fire Force in a sense. We've seen some weird ass powers. Like one guy uses cursed energy to control dolls. It could be something similar, except for he's using that as like him.
That is possible.
He could be the smart guy in the chair at home, just on like a keyboard.
That is definitely possible. I'm just like the fact that they just show that, and then you've got like the generic witch character with the dual twin tails. It just made me think Jinx from Teen Titans. And
yeah, she also seemed not that down into the idea.
It seemed like just like the one dude and the freaking crazy sister were kind of down for the murder.
Sister's insane. We don't like her.
I mean,
or
yeah,
do we?
I'm sure there's somebody out there who says she's best girl, but
probably. Entertaining episode overall, though, is definitely set up, which just means we're going to be getting into what we've been waiting for, which is this tournament arc style. We do learn that the parameters of the first exam, or whatever you call it, would be, they're going out there and they're fighting curses, and you get a certain amount of points, and whoever finishes with the most points wins. Basically,
yeah. I think there was specifically one grade 2 that was released. First one to beat it wins as well.
Yeah, and a few grade 1s or stuff like that. A lot, and then obviously they do mention that you can fight the other team, you can get in their way and that kind of stuff. But it's pretty implied that you're not supposed to kill them, which is obviously where the principal is stepping in and being like, you know what?
Yeah, they specifically said, feel free to interfere, just don't actively kill or maim, I think was another one.
Yeah. Another one of the important things is when we see the bad guys, they're mentioning that they want to go steal the fingers from the school.
Take all the fingers from the school, which I don't get why they gave them to him in the first place.
Yeah, the logic is even the Mashiro character asks like, oh, like, well, why do we even let the school have them? Like, won't they just give them Itadori? And then he's like, well, Gojo would give them to Itadori. And then they show like a little cartoon of him being like, yeah. He's like, but like the other people never will because they're too scared of it, kind of thing. Which is very true because then, even later we see him trying to, I don't know, it was in this episode where he was trying to get the finger off the blonde teacher. I think that was this episode. Yeah, he was early on. Gojo was talking with I can never remember his name, the suit guy who likes being on time. He was talking to him about like what they did with the finger that was left at the.
Yeah, he said he turned it over.
Yeah, and he's like, damn it. He's like, if I would have given it to you, you would have fed it to Itadori. And he's like, yeah. He's just so interested. He just wants to keep giving him fingers. Yeah, everyone else is like concerned every time he gets one, he's probably getting a little bit closer to Sukuna taking over, and he's just like, I don't give a fuck,
because they don't know how much of a vessel he actually is, like how much of this he can actually absorb. And
it's also, I love the fact that when you look back at episode 1, like his whole fight with Sukuna, how like tough it was, but at the time you don't really fully understand. And then at this point in the show, not only have you seen how powerful he is, but you've heard about how powerful Sukuna is, and you know that no other person in the world would have been like, yeah, let him out for 20 seconds and we'll go at it. Like it's one of those things that in retrospective you see how fucking like OP this character is. But at the time, you're just like, okay, like we don't know how good he is. We don't really know how strong Sukuna is. So no big deal.
Yeah, for all we know, this is one of those things that over time, like sorcerers have gotten much stronger. So like old school curses that were legends are now nothing. But
yeah, it was just insane. And I really like that. But yeah, I'm just really excited for next week because obviously we're going to start the tournament arc. We're going to see these characters try to fight Itadori.
Someone's getting bitch slapped.
I would love them all immediately just to go after him and him to actively fight them all at one time, like Megami said.
Yeah, because I mean the only thing we've actually seen from him so far is like the after release punch thing,
which I mean he's gonna use, but I think just as like I was gonna call it taijutsu, like this is Naruto, but I think just his physical fighting, obviously as Megumi implied, is just so much above everyone else's.
Yeah,
that I doubt we're not gonna get a fight with him and the main guy because they're obviously both very physical fighters.
Yeah, they're gonna say like, okay, we'll have a fight without cursed energy and we'll take it from there.
But I think that he's first gonna earn his respect with his answer, and then it's gonna be a fight out of like admiration fight, not like an angry fight. So
yeah, we're gonna get some crazy ass martial arts shit going on. They're gonna wreck a bunch of stuff. Which I think what's actually going to end up happening is I think Itadori is going to act as bait going forward.
Probably. They said he had a part of the plan. They implied that there was some sort of... Because obviously when they first formed the plan for this competition, he was not part of the team.
Yeah.
So he had to kind of be added in the last minute, and that's where Megami kind of vouched for him, being like, oh no, he can do a bunch.
Yeah,
and then it's implied right when they're at like the starting line that he has some sort of part in this plan. So
yeah, he's gonna roll up. He's gonna act as bait. He's gonna kick the crap out of some people.
yeah, because it's very possible that Gajo Sensei went in and being like, "Hey, Itadori, the principal's a dick. He's gonna coerce them into going after you."
Yeah.
And then Itadori's gonna tell that to the team, and they're gonna use that as like a plan.
Yeah, which I mean, I think like Itadori being kind of an airhead's been played up a couple times, but I don't think he's stupid.
No, he's not. He's like
Maybe a little naive.
He's a little naive for sure, and he doesn't really have very much fear because, as I said, he's been pretty much physically superior all of his life to everyone else. But I don't think he's dumb though. So
yeah, so he probably knows that someone's going to try and murder his ass again. So
yeah, probably.
I mean, I think the only person who actually poses a threat might be Gun Girl because I don't know if he can catch bullets yet.
Please, he can probably just punch those bullets right out of the air.
I mean, yeah, but there's always the chance that he just doesn't care about bullet holes.
Maybe,
too.
but we know she's gonna end up fighting her sister / the
oh god, yeah,
the brown. I think they called her brown haired girl in this. I always looked at her hair as orange, but
I mean that's one of those.
That's just anime.
Yeah, I mean I remember like reading manga back in the day, and it's like obviously pink hair. It's like they're talking about how it's brown. It's like what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah. But yeah, obviously big start, a lot of setup for the upcoming arc, which is probably going to be like the rest of the season or at least a good chunk of it. So I think we're just excited to see what happens, and we just want to see Itadori fight, honestly.
Yeah, he kind of came off a loss with the last arc, so I kind of want to see him just beat somebody.
Yeah, we just need to see him take one of these characters and just go to town. Maybe it'll be the robot. Maybe he'll just fucking smash that robot's brains.
Yeah, just first hit just decimates him. Just like,
done. And then that's where we'll learn it's like an empty shell. Boom. 2 plots solved at once.
Yeah.
But yeah, obviously, if you're a fan of Jujutsu, leave us a comment down below what your favorite part of the episode was or any theories you have. Yeah. And of course, we're going to be talking about that till at least the end of the season. So yeah, next up, we have Horimiya, which is one of our rotating slots.
Yep. This is episode 2. You wear more than one face.
Okay. And that's kind of the plot of the show.
I know, but it's a slice of life. They have to do it at some point.
So yeah, one of the big things about Horimiya in comparison to other slice of lives, and we've mentioned this last episode and we'll mention it this episode, it's just how many... Like, I think in this episode, I could probably think of 3 arcs that happened all at once. Yeah. It started with an arc revolving around Hori not knowing Miyamura's first name.
Yeah.
And then it went into a arc about I think was the student council the second one?
Yeah, the student council was the second one, and Hori working for them.
Yeah, and then there was a third, there was something else. What was the end of the show? There was something else. Or was that it?
I mean, the end was them going on spring break and Hori's birthday.
Yes, and then it was so Hori's birthday was like the third like mini arc inside the episode.
These are all things that would be full episodes in any other show.
Yeah, like okay, honestly, the student council thing would be like a 3-episode arc in a regular slice of life.
Yeah, you want to know what the best part about this is? I double checked this before we started filming. This is they're on chapter 4 of the manga.
Perfect.
Shows you how dense this thing is. So
yeah, so I mean, obviously any of those things could have been their own episode by themselves, but in this they fit all of them in. Just like how in the first episode it seemed like they covered a whole freaking 13-episode series in one episode.
You wouldn't get that much resolution out of most slice of lives, I think.
The only thing I found really weird is I thought this show, and this is just the direction they're going in, is that they're like, it's not weird that all of a sudden Miyamura is like hanging out with them. You know, like there was kind of mention of like from Toru in the first episode being like, hey, why do you hang out with Hori so much? And he's just like, oh, like we became kind of friends a little while back. And then in this one, her friend is kind of introduced, and there's no like her being like, hey, why are we like talking to this guy all of a sudden? Because there's multiple scenes throughout the episode where they're all kind of hanging out. Now, I mean, that's obviously like a more realistic choice because in real life, sometimes you're always like looking back, like, when did I become friends with that guy? I have no clue. Like at some point, they just somehow mingled into my group.
Yeah, I can think in high school, I don't think anyone ever looked at someone and said, why the fuck are we talking to this guy?
Yeah, so it's much more realistic, but it's strange because most anime, there'd have to be an episode about this like plot about why this character, the girlfriend's so curious as to why all of a sudden Hori's even talking to Miyamura, like the weird otaku kid.
Which, I mean, I do like that they're kind of getting away from that. I think another show that's coming out this season, bottom tier character, is it Tomazaki?
Yeah, bottom tier character Tomazaki.
Yeah, they did the same thing where the guy just starts talking to them and just kind of accept it. It's like, oh, okay.
Well, yeah, I think that part of that was, he thought it was going to be so difficult talking to people, but it's just kind of showed it's really not.
Yeah.
But I mean, yeah, there were some really good parts in this. Obviously, when we start off, it's about the name thing.
Yeah, she realizes she never actually figured out what his first name is.
And that's obviously a big Japanese culture thing because, where we live, that would never possibly happen.
Yeah. I mean, you might not know someone's last name, but...
Yeah, a lot of times you could not know someone's last name. There's like... there's literally funny plots, I think, in some sort of Western shows about not knowing someone's last name. You know, someone gets romantically interested in someone for like a long period of time.
Yeah.
And then they realize, oh, I don't know that person's last name. That's like a joke in sitcoms. There's a freaking Carrie Underwood song about it. About hooking up with someone and then not even knowing their last name. But in Japanese culture, it's the opposite.
Yeah.
So that's obviously funny. We do get to meet Hori's mom.
Yeah. Very busy lady, but
very much what we expected from an anime mom. You know, she looks way too young to be a mom, and she's kind of like Hori, but you know, at that age, you kind of let go of all your, I don't know, your self doubt and that kind of stuff for the most part. And she's more, she's like Hori, but more sure of herself.
They established that she's always working, that she doesn't really cook, and
I did laugh a couple times out loud just with her whole sequence about like, you know, her wanting to know what Miyamura's first name was, and Hori realizing she doesn't know it. And then her being like, oh, we'll invite him over. And then Hori's like, yes, this is the opportunity. She'll have to do it. And then she sends her daughter on errands so she can ask him. And they don't show that part. But when they get back, he's just like, yeah, your mom was like really cool, man. Said my first name was really cool. It was really like.
Yeah, it was like, oh, yeah, she's the first person to use my first name since like grade school. It's
like just like flexing on her. I'm like, oh, my God, that's good stuff. Yeah. Obviously, we still haven't got introduction from the dad. Yeah. I'm assuming he's just a traveling parent or something along those lines.
I ain't saying shit.
As is with anime, I'm sure there'll be a plot about that eventually. The student council arc was a little more important in the episode.
A little more dramatic.
Yeah, it kind of shows that Hori is being used by the student council to do a lot of the work that they don't want to do. You know, originally there's the classic hot guy student council president, which all the girls like. And him and his assistant and his girlfriend are pushing a lot of the work onto Hori.
Yeah, which his girlfriend is part of the student council as well. She just doesn't do shit.
You know, Hori does all the stuff, including the budget for them, and then gives it to the girlfriend of the student council president. And then we see the next scene. She's running through the hall with all of it. She bumps into Miyamura, drops something, and then she's like, "Hey, just throw that out. I don't need it."
Yeah, she just assumes it isn't important. Like, doesn't even look at what it is. Just throw it out.
Miyamura's a little bit confused, and then we get to the next scene. It's the student council yelling at Hori for, you know, either forgetting to do this or losing it for the budget, how important it is. And they're all kind of being assholes. And then Miyamura comes in. He's like, fucking hold my purse and glasses, dude. You know, hold me back. Like, Merce bag, I think he probably said.
He's like, bag, dude.
He's like, hey, Toru, can you hold my bag and glasses? He's like, okay. And then he walks up and he just fucking headbutts the dude.
Yeah.
Just gives him the old headbutt. And then the funniest part was I was watching this with my wife and she's like, why did he headbutt him? He could have just said, hey, look, I have the papers. And then at the end, as soon as that whole scene's done, Toru's like, but why'd you headbutt him? You could have just showed him. He's like, I don't know. I got kind of pissed. And I was like, there you go. The answer's solved. He got pissed. What do you want him to do?
Man's true to himself. What can you say?
But yeah, it was really funny. And then after that, you get to, you know, they ask, you know, Hori, does he have something on you? And like, you know, she gets kind of a little bit weird. And
a little evasive.
You're like, oh, there's probably this like deep plot. And then it just flashbacks to her bullying him a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then him being like, when we get to high school, you're not bullying me anymore. And then so he's like, or I'll tell everyone. And then so now she does.
It bothers me that I can't remember his name. It's like
Setsuna.
That's it. I knew it was something very Naruto.
I love that I can remember Toru's name and Sets and all that kind of stuff, but I have so much trouble remembering the name of the show.
I know. I think we were talking last night. You're just like, Hoya?
Hiromori. I always just mix it up somehow, even though it's literally just their names.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then the last part is just the birthday. So Toru tells Miyamura about her birthday coming up. I believe it's March 31st, end of March or something along those lines.
It's the end of their spring break either way.
Yeah, and then you know what he's gonna get her for a gift, and that leaves Miyamura wondering what he should get her as a gift.
Yeah.
It's just a nice little callback to the early episode. He comes in, brings her like a CD of all the hottest pop songs because she realizes that she has no idea what the kids listen to these days.
Yeah,
basically.
The only songs she knows are her little brother's anime songs.
Nothing wrong with knowing anime songs, okay?
Yeah, but it's one of those things like she's trying to keep up the popular girl appearance at school, so it doesn't really work for anyone who brings up music.
Yeah, which I don't know. There's something nice about it not being like there's always this plot, and it's not necessarily an anime. It's in all shows where it's like a be yourself kind of situation, which obviously, you know, it's always good to be yourself. But I like how Miyamura is not just like, hey, you know, just don't hide the fact you like anime songs. You know, just tell everyone. He actually just buys her CD of popular songs, being like, hey, if you want to keep up your appearance, you know, listen to these songs, then you can know what you're talking about.
Yeah, go nuts.
Which is kind of cool. But it was obviously a very fun episode. Where I think at the end, basically, we're starting their third year into school now, is what they said.
Yeah, he specifically says we're going to be third years soon. So
yeah, so that'll be interesting. We're going to get more plot. I'm excited to see if the episodes keep this trend up of like 3 episodes in one, basically.
Yeah.
If it is like a multi-story every single episode. Obviously, you kind of know something about where the show's going.
Yeah, I'm not going to know what the pacing is, though, and they might make some artistic changes.
We're just going to... It's not like we'll necessarily be switching every single week. It'll really just come down to which episode we think is better for discussion.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't talk that much about a slice of life. So,
But yeah, we've had stuff in the past where a lot of people think we exclusively talk about shonen, and we don't. It's just sometimes slice of life doesn't give us much stuff.
yeah, and sometimes shonen just dominates the season a little bit. So
Yeah, but even if there's not much to talk about, it'll still be nice even spending 5 minutes sometimes just talking about an episode of anime we enjoyed, whether or not it has a lot to discuss or theories. Even it just probably won't take up tons of time on the actual podcast.
yeah, just giving a little bit of, I guess, spotlight to a show that might not get it otherwise is always nice. So
Yeah, and it's just something we enjoy anyways. We enjoy watching it, so hopefully you guys also enjoy us talking about it. Other than that, I think we're going to get to the next one on the list, which would be Mushoku Tensei episode number 2.
Master.
So obviously Mushoku Tensei was definitely a surprise hit from last week for me especially. One of my big compliments was the pacing compared to other isekai. So not only do you get like a really, really good opening on the show, the whole like real slow car accident into transferring over. But even in episode 2, you also got really good. They're showing these flashbacks as like kind of what a decently shit character he was, like a shit person. But also you're also seeing kind of what made him that way throughout the episode.
Yeah, which this is going back to the whole they love to touch on bullying in anime.
Love it. Yeah, so originally when we start, we're seeing our main character who's currently about 4 to 5 years old in this episode.
Yeah.
We're seeing what I think is pretty implied that his parents have died, and while his brothers are at the funeral for his parents, he is at home doing questionable things to watch. He is watching some sort of lewd content while doing some vigorous forearm exercises. And then it shows, and then his brothers realize he aren't there. This is all I'm assuming. They've dropped a lot of hints, but they haven't told us.
Yeah, they didn't explicitly say it was his brothers. Like, we don't even know if they're related or if they're just people hired to.
I
get him
think
out
that
of the
his
house.
hint later, though, he mentions that he's really tired. He wants it to
He's
make
tired
a
of
baby.
little brothers. Yeah,
Yeah, he's tired of brothers. So I think that was the hint they were dropping us, and I think the show is actually doing the hints really well. But yeah, they show that, and you're like, oh, this is kind of a shit character. But then throughout the episode, you kind of see Rudius, like him as a young boy, having a little bit of trauma about like leaving the home. And then we're seeing flashbacks of like, him, at school being bullied, being like strung up naked.
Yeah, a lot of stripping him for bullying, and then I feel like that was a really weird way to go with it. But
well, it makes sense though, because I mean, there are some kids already who have some sort of that if they've spent a lot of time at home while they're slowly aging, there's always this little bit of nervousness to get them play with other kids and that kind of stuff. So it makes sense for a kid to have that, but then also a lot of that is just based off his previous life. But at first he sees these kids and he almost sees it like they're mocking him, and he gets scared and turns back, even though they're just kids.
Yeah, I mean, it specifically shows them switching to having cell phones in their hands for a second. So
so that was a big part of the episode, was him dealing with his past trauma and like having to leave the house. But the pacing on the show has just been really good. Like normally by the end of the first episode of an isekai, the main character is already like at the age that they're going to be for the rest of the show. But it started with him being born. In this episode, we see him at his 5th birthday. We see at one point he says it's been 3 months or whatever since she showed up, and then at one point he's like it's been 6 months, and it's been like a year and a bit. Like,
yeah, they do a really good job kind of establishing those little time skips and showing how he's progressed over that time, without it just being one big lump sum of, hey, I've gone from being a kid and now I'm a professional mage.
Yeah, and I think going forward, they're probably going to speed it up a little bit more until he gets to the I think that someone did mention in the comments that I think that he does get older, like he becomes like a normal, like an 18-year-old or something at one point.
I mean, that would make a lot of sense.
At least in like the manga or light novel or whatever it's based off of. So I am excited for that, but like as I mentioned before, that I don't like when the isekai focus on like childish characters, like By God's Grace for one of them, for instance.
Yeah, that one was a little weird because you have a full-grown adult sitting next to an actual child.
Yeah, and the thing about that one that was weird too is that full-grown adult in a child's body was also attracted or in could be a romantic interest relationship with another child. In this one, it's funny because a grown man in the child's body, but he's only attracted to like the older women. Like So at least it makes it a little bit less creepy.
I mean, he hasn't actually interacted with anyone his own age. That's the problem with that.
Yeah.
And I remember it's either the opening or the ending does show a younger female character. So it could go down that same route.
It could, but I think that so far they've handled everything really tastefully. So I'd like them to keep for the content they've covered. I've never once been when I was watching By God's Grace, I was like cringing a little bit on the inside at some of the shit.
Oh, God,
in this one, they've obviously been more open with how perverted it is, but it's mostly been funny.
I mean, yeah, it
Like
has
the stuff
been,
in the
but-
first episode, like putting like the panties ahead and like running around and shit like that. It was all really funny.
Yeah,
And
it was very much like I'm like barely a child at this point.
even
so,
like
yeah.
in this episode, there's some stuff that like most anime you'd hear. Like if you heard like the Hidden Dungeon did it this week, it'd be kind of fucking weird. Like where he hears his parents having sex, he like walks outside, sees his like sensei, the his master, doing something in the hallway, and he just walks back in. He's like, she's young,
Yeah, he even specifically says like even I'm not that big of an asshole to call her out on it. So.
Yeah. So I mean, it's they do a lot of perverted things. Like there was a lot of more adult content in this episode, but I mean, it's handled decently well, and I mean, the show just looks really fucking good.
It does actually. Yeah,
Like all the magic when they show it, like when he was casting the one. What was it? Sacred,
the sacred level water
sacred
magic,
level
yeah.
water magic. It looked so freaking good, which was crazy. But yeah, I mean, just the pacing is definitely the big highlight to me so far. I'm excited to see where they go. Obviously, they've led some hints that it might be revolving on him going to this Magic Academy at some point.
Yeah, which I'm kind of curious to see if he does end up practicing swordplay at all.
I think he will. I think he's still going to be. Now, they could subvert expectations how all these isekais always have this character who's both good at magic and sword fighting.
Yeah.
They could subvert that by he just has a much more bigger interest in magic, so he kind of leans that way.
Yeah.
But I still think he's going to be adept at sword fighting with the father.
Yeah, there's no doubt he's going to have some sword skills.
I do like a lot of the little jokes were really subtle, and I like them though. Like the dad gives him the sword, and then the mom gives him the magic books where it's a kid and he clearly likes it more, and the dad's like, he's like a little upset.
Well, even in the first episode when it's like, wait, no, he was going to be a swordsman because he's a boy, and then the mom's like, he's obviously good at magic.
It's like we made a deal. If it's a boy, he's a swordsman.
And the maid's just like, why don't you just teach him both?
Yeah, I did like that though. How like he gets the sword from his dad. He's like, "Oh, thanks. This is like a cool gift." And then he gets the book from his mom, and he's much more visibly excited. Because he can't hide his emotions that much. And
and even with the wand, it's like, oh shit, it's like.
Yeah, he liked it a lot. Yeah, there was just some really good parts. The show looks really good. The pacing's been really good so far.
Yeah, they've actually done a really decent job building up like a human relationship between him and his master. And I hate that I can't remember her name. I know it starts with an R.
It's a pretty easy name too.
It's like I want to say Rika, but I know that's wrong.
I also wanted to say that, but I don't think it is. But yeah, she obviously has to leave in this episode. He's a little sad at that, but
yeah, it's bittersweet. But
he's literally crying about it less than his parents are. They're both like, no, like and the part I like too is that he acknowledges at one point while he's doing the spell. So while you're getting this like really, really good imagery, you're not even paying attention to the words he's saying because there's also like an inner monologue where he's explaining that like no matter what, he's not going to be able to convince her to stay, anything like that. He just acknowledges that. But then the next scene goes to his parents who were like crying and trying to be like, no, you can stay. Like I have so much left to cook, and like all the things he knew that wouldn't work, his parents are trying, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, and I think something that's really worth noting is that he actually used the incantation for the spell.
Yeah. Once again, it is like a sacred level spell, so I think more could go wrong without using the incantation.
I mean, even when his master used it, it still blew up the horse.
It's true, yeah. And that's just where she's like, you're better than me. Don't call me master. And he's like, no. He's like, you've taught me a lot. I'm gonna call you master.
Yeah, like, and for him, it was more, I think, the fact that she was the one who kind of took him outside the house.
Yeah, he's like, and he even acknowledged, he's like, I know it wasn't on purpose. He's like, but I'm still gonna respect her for that. He's like, that's just it. I'm gonna respect her because of this, even if it wasn't on purpose.
He basically gave her, or she gave him, something major that fixed the problem from his past life, and even if she doesn't know it, he's going to give her that respect. And I think she's going to be a recurring character going forward.
I think, yeah. I don't know if she's going to be a constant recurring character or if she's going to come back at some point when he's older, possibly.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if at some point she becomes his goal. Like, he goes out to try and meet her again or something like that. So
it's possible. Or maybe if he does enter the magic school, she goes there at one point or to teach or something.
Well, I mean, she specifically said she was going to go out and re-hone her skills. So
yeah. Either way, it was a good episode. I don't think we have tons to say on it today. It's just really enjoyable to see so far. It's such a generic isekai concept, obviously, but it's just been done really well so far for,
I think we've heard that this is kind of the progenitor of the isekai genre.
Yeah, a lot of people said this is like where the trope started of the main character getting hit by a truck and going to another world, except for when we read that synopsis, we couldn't have known even just with the cold open alone, the concept of just you seeing a character get hit by a truck. In this one, we're seeing, even the second episode, we see the backstory of him walking out to even try and possibly save some people from getting hit by the truck when he thinks his life's at a low and he can't get any worse and that kind of stuff. But the scene alone from the first episode where he gets hit by the truck and you're seeing him slowly fade while mixing it with his birth, no other isekai has done it like that. So really good. Even if we don't talk about it weekly, as I said, because we'll be swapping back and forth every now and then. Anytime there is a really good episode, we're going to be talking about it. So if you're a fan of the show, look forward to that. So if there's an episode where it gets really, really good, we'll be there to cover it. Doesn't really matter what else we have going on in the week. We'll just add it in and make it a longer episode if we have to.
Yeah, one way or another, it'll be in there. So.
Yeah, so just look forward to that. If you have any opinions on the show, leave a comment down below, like everything else, of course. Last up on the list is our final anime, which is, of course, Attack on Titan, episode number 66.
The Warhammer Titan.
Yeah, okay. So we've obviously been discussing the Warhammer Titan a lot, the theories about who it could have been, all this kind of stuff. Judged off the episode name, you can assume that they did, in fact, show the Warhammer Titan finally.
They did, yes.
I think that they really did want to imply that it was one of those two. Because, again, they showed the shot between the two characters standing at one point.
Yeah, even at the start where, he was giving up major death flag vibes. He was going to die.
Yeah, he fully acknowledged, and this once again makes at the end of the last episode, we thought Eren 100% won, right? He saw through their plans, he's fucking them up. But then at the beginning of this episode, it's actually shown that Willie not only expected this, but he wanted this. Yeah. By someone attacking him during his presentation, it's now making it so the whole world is now going to be against them, which is exactly what he wanted. He knew going into this that he was going to die, because if he didn't die, he was the one loved by all these places, that the whole world wouldn't unite. And then it also makes sense now why they're doing it inside the basically Eldian concentration camp, because
make Eldians into the victims.
Yeah, so. And not only that, but it's also we lose some really important Marlians, but they're kind of shit anyways. And most of what we lose is Eldian citizens, so it's not even the worst case scenario.
It's kind of interesting to see how Willie's very much against Eldians, even though he is an Eldian himself. So yeah,
and it's a good little dynamic. Obviously, we know before we even see that he's going to die. Now, we did have questions last week of whether or not he was going to be eaten, and he was, in fact, eaten.
Yeah, no ceremony, nothing. Just straight down.
Straight down. We obviously knew right there that he wasn't the Warhammer Titan. Yeah. We did find out it is the maid character.
Which we actually found out she's actually his sister.
Yeah. So, which we've seen two variations of the Tiber so far. He's blonde. And his wife was blonde, because they showed his wife in this too, or his wife was dark haired. Yeah. So I kind of wonder if it's his sister-in-law, because she was dark haired like the wife. Some of the kids were either split between blonde or dark haired.
Yeah.
So it's possible it could have been his
either
sister-in-law.
way, so.
Yeah. But yeah, so she turns out to be the Warhammer Titan. We see her transform. We've seen this. I know that both of us have seen what the Warhammer Titan looked like before. That didn't really give away. I never thought it was a female from that alone.
It's kind of hard to tell.
Yeah, it didn't look female, obviously.
You wouldn't think female if you looked at the cart Titan. So
yeah, it's true. But yeah, most of the action in this episode was fighting between Eren and the Warhammer Titan, who was really fucking good.
Yeah,
she wrecked his shit. So
to be fair, it started with Eren wrecking her shit.
Yeah, it started with her turning into the Warhammer Titan, and midway through transformation, Eren's just hardening his fists and just wailing on her. Yeah, not even a chance. But
which it's kind of nice to see a show finally do the "I'm going to attack you during the transformation sequence" trope without it being a joke.
Yeah, you have time. Get that shit done before they even transform. Yeah. Obviously, once it doesn't work out. She eventually does form, big spike right through Eren. Basically, it's later shown that her, she's using her power to harden to make whatever she needs at the time. So makes a sword, makes a warhammer, makes a crossbow at one point.
Yeah, I don't think we ever actually got to see her use the crossbow, because I would have liked to see the actual engineering on that one.
But. Yeah, but yeah, so she actually really easily fucks Eren up, completely. He has to come out of the Titan. It's looking, all the Marlians around now she's going to be able to eat him, even though she looks like she's not giving a fuck about eating him.
Yeah, she fully intended just to beat his ass.
Yeah, and then obviously last second, of course, Mikasa comes in. So we get the new Mikasa look, which just looks a lot like Eren, not going to lie. Yeah. So she comes in, kind of saves the day.
She stops Eren dying. So
she stops Eren dying. She thinks that she maybe takes to the Warhammer Titan. At least she shoots the back of the neck with the fucking, what are they called? The thunder spears? Yeah. I think is what they are. Yeah, and then it's all looking good, and then Eren is just no. He's she's not done yet. Yeah. And she's like, oh, how? But I shot the back of her neck, and you're like, okay, yeah, that's a little weird when you're watching. You're most of the time that would
the implication might be maybe she hardened enough that the thunder spear didn't go through.
Yeah, we've seen a couple different Titan characters survive that, like Reiner multiple times.
Yeah, in Reiner's case though, it was specifically said that he dispersed his consciousness into his nervous system. Yeah. And that's a very specific card to pull out, I think. So.
This is semi-similar to that in a sense.
Yeah, she just wasn't there to start with.
Yeah, so then it leads on to there's a fight going on between Mikasa and the Warhammer Titan. Eren wants to eat the Warhammer Titan, obviously.
Yeah, he's got a little bit of megalomania going. So.
Yeah, so as Mikasa fights, Eren realizes that the weird part was that the Warhammer Titan transformed feet up, which is very strange. The other ones all don't, and then he notices a little tendril thing going in the ground, and he realized that the Warhammer's consciousness or her original body is in a different spot, covered in the hardenedness. He pulls it out. He's about to go for a big snack, and then of course you have Porco come in and
good old Jaw Titan.
Yeah, and right as it looks, Porco is about to little bitey on Eren. Who do we get?
Fan favorite.
But best boy Levi coming in. So he pops in right there. Porco immediately is like, is this an Ackerman? And he's like, and then he's like, wait a minute. And then all the rest of the scouts are coming in. He's like, these guys are humans. Like, why are they fighting me? Like, why are they not like running away? And he's never seen, he's not like Reiner, Berthold, Annie, who all went to this place, right? He full out doesn't understand the savageness of these scouts who have been through so much shit, who have fought so many titans at this point.
Yeah, I mean, these guys wouldn't even be the original scouts at this point because most of the scouts were wiped out.
Yeah, you have some of the original ones obviously we've seen, and then we see
we have the old guard return. So.
Yeah, and then we see a couple of the new ones, like the red haired guy. I don't remember exactly what his name was, but
oh god, it was something stupid.
He was a big part of season 3 when he really admired Erwin, and after he died and that kind of stuff. So obviously that we can talk about the new suits. They're using a lot of hand action, like not like webbing, but
the
maneuvering systems.
The anchors are based on the hands, just like the anti-personnel ones from season 2.
Yeah, exactly. Not to mention their outfits look pretty freaking dope.
Yeah, they're using firearms as well now.
Yeah, it was still a little weird to see it all in CGI.
Yeah, there was a couple points that I felt it was a little janky. But...
A little bit. It still wasn't terrible, but it was definitely strange going from a lot of the last seasons.
Yeah, there's a lot of beautiful fluid animation going to that CGI, but it doesn't look horrible.
Yeah, it doesn't look horrible. It just looked a little off-putting when you're already used to so many seasons of them fighting in their maneuvering gear without CGI. It's a
change. I think the only time I felt really jarred by it was when there was a scene where Jean was like climbing up over a wall.
Yeah.
It just looked very out of place.
Yeah, I think I know which part you're talking about.
Yeah.
I think I felt the same. Obviously, a lot of the action this was taken up between Eren and the Warhammer Titan, but there's a lot of side shit going on when the scouts show up. Some of them is we lose Zofia immediately.
Yeah, off screen.
Yeah, Gabby and Colt are looking around, and Zofia just crushed by a rock when Eren showed up.
Yep. Is it Uzo?
Udo,
that's it. Udo goes to help her and just gets trampled.
Gets trampled, not quite to death, but then shortly to death because they can't get him any help. And so those are 2 characters gone.
That's 2 candidates down.
Yep. Obviously, Gabby's a little bit upset, and she tries to run back into the battle when her 2 friendly guard friends stop her, telling her it's a little dangerous.
Yeah, like these are characters that had palled around with her in the past, too.
Yeah, they wanted to show previously that these are kind of nice Marlians. They treat the Eldians decently well. They're kind of friendly with Gabby. Nice guys, until they get shot in the fucking face by who else but Sasha.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of nice to see the sniper kind of upgrade from a bow to a gun.
Yeah, so Sasha, it shows a stern-looking face Sasha, shows Gabby seeing her, Gabby looking a little bit pissed, and then right after that we see second best boy Connie pop up, looking fantastic, as always.
Yeah, I felt kind of weird about his hairstyle. I'm not gonna lie.
I liked it. I was a fan.
I wasn't sure if it was an issue with the CGI or if he still got like the.
It looked like it had a lot of more texture, right? Normally we just shaved head Connie. This was like weird texture shaved head.
Yeah, I'm not sure if he's got like a little fro going on or if it's actually like supposed to be shaved and it's just not looking very good.
Maybe Connie looked good. I don't care what you say. And then
I like Connie himself. It's just he needs a better barber.
And then Jean showed up and they talked about their plan a little bit. Another big part of the episode is Mikasa talking to Eren about, hey, like, you can't go back now, Eren. Like, what have you done? Like, you killed innocent civilians. You killed children.
Yeah, it sounded a lot like Eren wasn't sure if they were going to show up.
It sounded like this wasn't the plan. It sounded like the plan was not for Eren to explode during this guy's press conference and make the whole world angry with them. But Eren decided that was his plan.
Yeah, I almost wonder if like the scouts' presence here is more they had to be because Eren was going to fuck everything up anyways.
Possibly, and then they made like whatever plan they could last minute, or maybe they were going to come at some point, but more secretive, more of a stealth mission, maybe not upsetting the entire world at one time.
Yeah, don't pick a fight with the entire world. I mean, we know that lesson.
But Eren hates the entire world, so he doesn't give a fuck.
Yeah, I mean, his whole thing at the end of season 2 was like, if I go kill everybody else in the world, can we be happy?
Yeah. Now we never do get to see Falco and Reiner in this episode. Obviously, it's pretty implied that they're safe.
They're probably fucked up. I mean, even Reiner's not going to take that hit very well.
I think a lot of the next episode is going to be about Gabby finding them, and then I think there's going to have to be a last-minute decision as to which of the 2 of them is going to become the Armor Titan. I think Reiner only has an episode or 2 left before he's getting eaten by one of them.
Probably. Gabby's going to take over.
You think so? You think it's not going to be Falco?
She's going to try at the very least. She's got that vengeance vein going for her now, so... It's
true. One brief thought I had in this episode, actually, for a second after I saw the opening. It's never been confirmed to be true, and I don't think it is. But once you see the opening about how kind of Willie knew about all this kind of stuff and how they knew all these people were going to get killed and stuff like that, I thought for a second that maybe the soldier that was sent to pick them up was actually from like Willie's side, making sure that the candidates wouldn't be killed in this, and that's why they maybe recognized the person. But I think that it actually would have made a lot of sense, right?
Yeah.
The Commander Margath, whatever his name is, knew that all these people were going to die, so maybe get these candidates out of there by having a soldier go say, "Hey, you were supposed to go see him."
Well, it's not even the candidates; it was the warriors.
Yeah, the warriors and the candidates. Well, I mean, at least for Falco. Well, I guess Falco wasn't there.
Yeah, Falco was a complete. Falco was Aaron.
But yeah, get the warriors out of there because this is going to get real shitty. Especially since Willie also kind of wanted Aaron to go there on a rampage, or wanted one of their attacks or whatever to be very successful, so the world would get angry. So he maybe thought having the warriors there would be a bad idea.
Yeah, because I mean, they could pretty easily just gang up on Aaron and take him out with
and that would also make sense as to why the soldier was recognizable. It's someone maybe they would have known, or someone who was working with him. But at the same time, it's pretty much implied that that's not it. We still don't know who the soldier was, but we also still haven't seen Armin.
Yeah, we also haven't seen Annie.
Yeah, but we don't know if we're ever going to see Annie, but we definitely haven't seen Armin. We've seen most other of the crew, obviously, by this point.
Yeah, most of the old guard has been shown. Levi, Mikasa, everyone.
Yeah. Obviously, big heavy action episode. Not as much world building story as the other ones, other than the beginning part with Willie and all the setup and that kind of stuff, which is pretty good.
Yeah.
Aaron getting pretty close to eating the Warhammer Titan. Good chance that's either going to be next episode or they're going to stop it. So that is I think the next episode is going to focus on Reiner. I think it's going to focus on the Armor Titan succession in the middle of the action.
I wouldn't be surprised.
I think Reiner's going to be very badly injured from whatever happened, and then he's not going to be right in fighting shape. So I don't know if, but my question is just how is he going to have that spinal fluid on him ready to go? Like,
I mean, it is possible because I mean you have to remember if the warriors die and they don't pass it on, it's lost until somebody's born with it.
Random Eldian child gets it.
Yeah, which means that they might. It wouldn't be surprised me if they just have a vial of that stuff on them in like a hard case or something.
Yeah, it's possible.
Just like, hey, eat this, eat me.
But I think there's going to definitely be some side story going on with that in the next couple episodes while we're seeing the scouts and the Titans fight. I'm really curious to see if we're going to see Armin or possibly Annie. Those kind of questions.
I mean, the problem with Armin is that if he's going to fight, he's going to go colossal.
Yeah.
Which means everyone's dead.
Well, the thing about Armin too, that we obviously the end, like Armin's last arc, we always think about the Colossal, but a lot of it was just about how good of a commander he is.
Yeah, he might be leading the assault.
It's been 4 years since I assume he's only got even better. I think that he's probably the commander now.
Oh, definitely. That's probably why they showed up to help Aaron when he went to fuck everything up.
Yeah, so I did watch the next time episode. It looks like we're going to be getting Zeke's going to be coming in, obviously.
Yeah, I specifically skipped it so I wouldn't see it.
It was like nothing. It was like
I know.
5 seconds long. They showed Zeke at one point coming up, so we're probably going to get some more Aaron fighting Zeke. Whether or not that's just going to be putting a stop to him eating the Warhammer Titan, or if he's going to eat it first and then fight Zeke.
Yeah, because I mean the Card Titan and who's
Porco.
the other? Yeah,
Jaw Titan.
Jaw Titan. Yeah, they showed her.
Jaw Titan showed back up. She didn't show up with him, assuming because she's getting outfitted. They said it'd take 15 minutes to set up all the stuff. So she's going to be there for the next in the fight. But I'm assuming, as much as Aaron's good and all that kind of shit, but I think that someone else is going to have to show up to help him out. So it just depends. It could be Armin as the Colossal Titan, but
I think that's overkill. If they're gonna bust someone out,
could be Annie, the surprise Annie coming in.
Bust at the female Titan and just wreck some shit.
Yeah, or as I said, unless like Aaron actually does eat the Warhammer Titan, and then he's so fucking good with his 3 Titan powers, he just starts kicking all their asses. But
I mean, the question is like, do they really want to stack everything on Aaron?
No. I mean, having that many Titans fight him would be a really high chance of getting him eaten, at least, because it's kind of, especially with like the Jaw Titan being so fast. But at the same time, this is a show, and you can't have every single climactic fight at one time.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So
yeah. Either way, I'm really looking forward to next week. Obviously, Attack on Titan is one of those pretty hype anime, especially after the cliffhanger of last week's episode, going right into this one being all action and us seeing these characters again.
Yeah, we're going to see some major warfare between these two sides. It's going to be kind of interesting seeing how the traditional warfare and basically airborne warfare from the scouts.
I'm also curious to see how they're going to stop it. Like, how are they going to put a stop to this little section and continue the story on? Because I don't think this exact fight is going to go through the rest of the season. I think there has to be some downtime of like them separating.
No, this is going to be more of a skirmish, I think. It's going to be the initial attack and the skirmish and then them retreating.
Yeah.
Because they did talk about how they were going to call down all their soldiers, like call all the ones for special training, all the naval units in.
Like, do you think the scouts are going to take up, like, what Liberio is like the name of the camp? Are they going to take up that camp right now as like their temporary encampment as they figure out what the hell they're going to do against the war on Marley, or what are they going to do?
Because I mean, the one I can't remember. It's like Fleur or Fleek or something like that for the redhead.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, because he had this attitude of like, these are just enemies and where they live. We need to kill them all.
Yeah, when Gene's like, hey, don't set fire and all this kind of shit. We're just killing people. And he's like, yeah, they're all fucking bad guys. He's like, look at Aaron. Aaron gets it.
Yeah, so like if that's a general feel from a lot of the scouts, I don't think they're going to be able to just set up here.
Yeah. I'm just curious as to if this literally is this fight's going to be nonstop fight till the end, or if they take a break in between to get this downtime with character building in between the fights.
Yeah.
How is it going to be done? Like, where is it going to be done?
They're going to have a safe house, or they're going to have an encampment somewhere away from the city, and they're going to just set up there and just wage war from their guerrilla style.
Yeah, probably. We just have to see where that encampment's going to be. I think we're going to get a little bit more of Armin Commander kind of showing his chops at leading. But yeah, just looking forward to next week. Looking forward to every single week of Attack on Titan, especially.
Yeah, it hasn't disappointed, has it?
No, even with either it's a story episode, a lot of character growth and world building, or if it's an action episode, even with the CGI, you're still getting some really good looking Titan fights.
Yeah, and I just realized this is probably the first time in a while they've cashed in the named character death card, hasn't it been?
Yeah, pretty much.
With the death of Udo and Zofia.
Zofia, Willie. Obviously, they literally got us hyped up for Willie just to kill him off. So yeah. Either way, great episode of Attack on Titan. If you were a fan, let us know in the comments. Let us know your theories. Try and keep it spoiler free as always. I think other than that, that's everything we got for this episode this week.
Yeah, that was everything.
Yeah. So once again, if you liked anything we talked about, leave us a comment. Have some discussions with other people down in the comments below. Subscribe if you haven't already. All that kind of shit means a lot to us.
Yeah, we appreciate any interaction. So it goes a far way too. So
as we mentioned in the early parts of the episode 2 in the intro, we're thinking about doing a Q&A for just the 100 sub special. So there's going to be a pinned comment down below. If you can just leave a question, as I said, it could be anime related, could be a personal question about our lives, could be anything.
Shoot us whatever you want. If you don't feel like actually commenting it, you don't want anyone else to see it, feel free to shoot us a personal message as well.
Yeah, anything works. You can do that on YouTube. You can do it on Instagram, anything like that, on Reddit even. Other than that, guys, I think we'll be seeing you next week for episode number 19. I've been Cam.
I've been Jimmy.
And take it easy, guys. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Have a good week.
Peace.